When Ryan Mercer pulled the unconscious woman from the crumpled Mercedes in the hospital parking lot that night, blood streaming down her face and designer coat torn open, he had no idea she was worth $3 billion. He had no idea her enemies had just tried to kill her, and he definitely had no idea that saving her life was about to destroy his own. This is the story of a single father who made one choice in a snowstorm and woke up the next morning to find the most dangerous woman in America sleeping on his couch. If you want to see how far a man will go to protect someone the whole world wants to control, stay with me until the end. Hit that like button and drop a comment with your city so I can see how far this story travels. The fluorescent lights in Chicago Grace Hospital's maintenance wing hummed like dying insects at 2:30 in the morning. Ryan Mercer sat on an upturned mop bucket in the supply closet, eating cold pizza from a box he'd found in the staff fridge 3 hours past its expiration date. His work boots were splitting at the seams. His phone screen had a crack running through the middle that made text messages look like they were breaking apart. He had $16 in his checking account. Rent was due in 4 days. Noah needed new shoes because the ones he wore to school yesterday had a hole worn clean through the sole, and Ryan had watched his 8-year-old son try to hide it by walking with his toes curled under. The pizza tasted like cardboard and shame. Ryan's shift supervisor, Marcus, poked his head through the doorway. Big guy, kind eyes, the type who pretended not to notice when Ryan occasionally slept in the break room after double shifts. Mercer, we got a busted pipe flooding the second-floor women's restroom. Grab your kit. Ryan stood, joints popping. He was 32 but felt 50. On it. And hey, Marcus said, lowering his voice. Payroll's running late again this week. Just wanted you to know. Ryan's stomach dropped. That meant another 3 days before he saw money he'd already earned 2 weeks ago. 3 more days of stretching nothing into something. 3 more days of lying to Noah about why they were eating cereal for dinner again. Thanks for the heads up, Ryan said. Marcus nodded and disappeared down the hallway. Ryan grabbed his tool bag and headed toward the elevator, but his phone buzzed before he reached it. Text from his neighbor, Mrs. Chen, the 70-year-old woman who watched Noah when Ryan worked nights. Noah had nightmare again. I gave him warm milk. He asking for you. Ryan closed his eyes and leaned against the wall. Every cell in his body wanted to leave right now, go home, hold his son. But he couldn't. Not if he wanted to keep this job. Not if he wanted to keep the apartment. Not if he wanted to keep Noah out of the system that had nearly swallowed them both last year when things got really bad. He texted back, "Tell him Daddy loves him. We'll be home before breakfast. Promise." The lie tasted worse than the cold pizza. Ryan shoved the phone in his pocket and took the stairs instead of the elevator because moving fast kept him from thinking too hard. The second-floor restroom was flooded just like Marcus said, water spreading across tile, seeping into the hallway carpet. Ryan got to work, wrench in hand, mind on autopilot. 40 minutes later, he had the pipe temporarily patched and the water shut off. He was mopping up the mess when his radio crackled. All available staff to the parking garage. Vehicle accident. Multiple injuries possible. Ryan dropped the mop. The hospital's emergency protocols were clear. Maintenance wasn't supposed to respond to medical situations. But the parking garage was chaos when Ryan pushed through the stairwell door into the freezing night air. A black Mercedes had crashed through the concrete barrier and was nose down against a support column, steam rising from the crumpled hood. Someone was screaming. Security guards were running. Snow was falling hard and fast, turning everything into a blurred painting. Ryan sprinted toward the wreck. A woman was trapped inside, slumped against the deflated airbag. The driver's side door was jammed. Ryan could see blood on her face, dark and thick. Her eyes were half open, but unfocused. "We need to get her out before this thing catches fire," Ryan shouted to the security guard beside him. "Ambulance is 2 minutes out," the guard said, but he was backing away. Not helping. 2 minutes might as well be 2 hours if the car went up. Ryan grabbed the door handle and pulled. Nothing. He braced his boot against the car frame and yanked harder. Metal groaned. The door gave half an inch, then another. Ryan's shoulder screamed, but he kept pulling until the door finally popped open with a shriek of torn metal. The woman fell forward into his arms. She was light, too light. Expensive perfume and blood. Ryan caught her and pulled her away from the wreck, dragging her across the snowy pavement as the Mercedes started making a clicking sound that meant nothing good. He got her 20 feet clear before the engine compartment started smoking harder. 2 paramedics came running with a stretcher. "We've got her," one of them said. "Good work." Ryan stepped back, hands shaking now that the adrenaline was fading. He looked down at the woman properly for the first time. Mid-30s maybe. Sharp features, dark hair matted with blood. She was wearing a coat that probably cost more than Ryan made in 6 months. Her eyes opened, unfocused, scared. She grabbed Ryan's wrist with surprising strength. Don't let them—" "You're safe," Ryan said. "You're at the hospital. These people are going to help you." But she wasn't looking at the paramedics. She was looking at him. "Don't let them find me." Then her eyes rolled back and she was out. The paramedics loaded her onto the stretcher and ran toward the ER entrance. Ryan stood there in the snow, watching them disappear through the automatic doors. His hands were covered in her blood. His uniform shirt was ruined. Marcus appeared at his elbow. "Hell of a thing. You all right?" "Yeah," Ryan said. "I'm fine." "Go clean up. Take 30. You earned it." Ryan nodded and walked back inside. His hands wouldn't stop shaking. By 6 a.m., Ryan's shift was technically over, but he stayed another hour to finish mopping the hallway outside the restroom because the night janitor had called in sick, and Ryan knew if he left it, someone else would have to do double work. That was the thing about being poor that rich people never understood. You couldn't afford to make enemies of anybody. Every favor you did might be the favor that saved your ass next month. He changed out of his bloody shirt in the maintenance locker room, threw it in the trash, and pulled on the spare he kept in his locker. Then he clocked out and headed for the exit. But something made him stop at the ER desk. "Hey, Jenny," he said to the night nurse. "That woman from the car wreck, she make it?" Jenny looked up from her computer. "The Jane Doe?" "Yeah, she's stable. Concussion, some lacerations, possible broken ribs. They're running tests." "Jane Doe?" "No ID on her. No purse, no phone, nothing. Police are checking the car registration, but it's registered to some corporate entity. Weird situation." Ryan frowned. "She say anything?" "In and out of consciousness, confused. Kept asking for someone named Ryan, actually." "You know her?" Ryan's stomach tightened. "I pulled her out of the car. She grabbed me, said something about not letting them find her. She was pretty out of it." Jenny nodded slowly. "Well, she's asking for you now. Room 12 if you want to check on her before you go. Might help her settle down." Ryan should have left, should have gone home to Noah, should have minded his own business. But something about the fear in that woman's eyes stayed with him. He walked to room 12. She was awake, sitting up in bed with a bandage wrapped around her head and a split lip that made her look more fragile than she probably was. When Ryan walked in, her whole body tensed like she was about to run. Then she saw his face and something changed. "You," she said, voice hoarse. "You're the one who—" "Pulled you out, yeah." Ryan stayed near the door. "How you feeling?" "Like I got hit by a truck." She touched the bandage on her head, winced. "They tell me I was in an accident." "Your car went through a barrier in the parking garage. You remember what happened?" She stared at him for a long moment. "No, I don't remember anything." Ryan didn't believe her, but he didn't push. "Doctors say you'll be all right. Concussion, some bruises. Could have been worse. Could have been dead if you hadn't pulled me out." She looked at him differently now, measuring. "Thank you." "Just did what anyone would do?" "No." Her voice was hard suddenly. "Most people would have waited for someone else. You didn't." Ryan shrugged, uncomfortable with gratitude. He'd spent the last 3 years getting used to invisibility. "They say you don't have any ID," he said. "No phone, no wallet? You remember your name?" Something flickered across her face. Fear, maybe? Or calculation? "No, I don't remember anything before waking up in this room." Ryan studied her. She was lying. He could tell by the way her hands gripped the blanket, by the way her eyes tracked the door like she was planning an escape route. "Listen," he said carefully. "The police are going to want to talk to you. Hospital's going to want insurance information. If you're in some kind of trouble, I'm not asking for your help." "Didn't say you were." "But you grabbed my arm out there and told me not to let them find you. So either you're paranoid from the concussion or someone's looking for you and you don't want to be found." She went very still. I don't know what you're talking about. Sure. Ryan moved toward the door. Take care of yourself. Wait. He stopped. She was staring at her hands now, not at him. If I tell you something, will you keep it between us? Depends what it is. Fair enough. She looked up, and Ryan saw it clearly now, the fear under the ice. I think someone tried to kill me tonight. I don't remember exactly what happened, but I know it wasn't an accident. And if they find out I'm here, they'll try again. Ryan's first instinct was to back away slowly, to let hospital security and the police handle whatever corporate espionage nonsense this was. He had enough problems. But Noah's voice echoed in his head. Something his son had said last week after watching a superhero movie. Daddy, if you could help somebody but it was really hard, would you still do it? Ryan had said yes without thinking, because that's what you were supposed to tell your kid. Turned out the universe was checking his work. Who are you? Ryan asked. I don't know if I should tell you. The less you know, the safer you are. Lady, I'm a hospital janitor who sleeps in the break room half the time because I can't afford gas to drive home between shifts. I'm not exactly living a safe life anyway. Something like a smile crossed her split lip. Victoria. My name is Victoria Hale. Ryan's stomach dropped. He'd heard that name. Everyone had. Victoria Hale. Tech CEO. Billionaire. The woman called the Ice Queen of Silicon Valley by every business magazine that put her on the cover. Known for taking apart companies and rebuilding them without mercy. Known for never apologizing, never explaining, never showing weakness. And she was sitting in a hospital bed in front of him, terrified. Holy shit, Ryan said. Yeah. You're... He couldn't finish the sentence. Worth $3 billion, give or take, Victoria said flatly. And someone just tried to scrape me off the road like I'm nobody. Ryan's brain was trying to catch up. Why would anyone... You're Victoria Hale. Who would risk... Lots of people. She looked at the door again. I was investigating something before the crash. Something big, but I can't remember the details now, just flashes. And the people responsible, they'll know I'm here as soon as my name hits any system. Then don't give them your name. What? Ryan thought fast. Hospital says you're a Jane Doe. No ID, no insurance, nothing. Cops are still running your plates. That buys you maybe 12 hours before someone makes the connection. And then what? I can't exactly check out and disappear. Look at me. Ryan looked. She was right. Bandaged, bruised, barely able to sit up straight. She wouldn't make it 2 blocks. This was insane. This was not his problem. He should walk out right now. I have a couch, Ryan heard himself say. Small apartment, not much, but no one would look for you there. Victoria stared at him like he'd just suggested flying to Mars. You're offering to hide me? I'm offering you 12 hours to figure out your next move. After that, you're on your own. You don't even know me. I know you're scared. I know someone's trying to hurt you. And I know I'm probably the only person in this building dumb enough to help without asking for something in return. For the first time since he'd walked in, Victoria looked uncertain. Why would you do this? Ryan thought about Noah asking him if he'd help someone even if it was hard. Thought about all the times he'd needed help and nobody came. Thought about the kind of man he wanted his son to grow up to be. Because someone should, Ryan said. Getting Victoria out of the hospital without anyone noticing was easier than it should have been. Ryan grabbed a wheelchair from the equipment room, some scrubs from the laundry, and a surgical mask that covered most of her face. At 7 a.m., shift change, when the hallways were chaos and nobody paid attention to anything except getting home. He wheeled her out through the maintenance exit near the loading dock where the security cameras had been broken for 3 months, and nobody had bothered fixing them. His truck was parked in the employee lot, a 15-year-old Ford Ranger with a rusted bed and a passenger door that stuck. Ryan had to kick it twice to get it open. Victoria stared at the truck like it might bite her. It runs, Ryan said defensively. I didn't say anything. You were thinking it. She almost smiled. Yeah, I was. Ryan helped her into the passenger seat, which took longer than it should have because every movement made her wince. He threw the wheelchair in the truck bed and climbed behind the wheel. The engine coughed twice before turning over. Where are we going? Victoria asked. South side, about 20 minutes. What's on the south side? People who can't afford to live anywhere else. The snow had stopped, but the roads were still slick. Ryan drove carefully, checking the rearview mirror more than necessary. No one was following them. No one cared. To the rest of the world, they were just another beat-up truck carrying another invisible person to another invisible life. Ryan's apartment building was a 5-story brick box that had been beige once, but was now the color of old dishwater. The hallway on the 3rd floor smelled like someone's cooking and someone else's weed. Ryan unlocked the door to 3C and held it open. Victoria stepped inside and stopped. The apartment was maybe 500 square feet total. Kitchen, living room, and bedroom all visible from the front door. Couch with duct tape holding the armrest together. TV from 2006. Walls that needed paint. But it was clean. Ryan made sure it was always clean because that's what they checked for when CPS came around. It's not much, Ryan said. It's perfect, Victoria said quietly. Something in her voice made Ryan look at her closer. She was staring at the apartment like she'd never seen anything like it, which, he supposed, she probably hadn't. Bathroom's through there, bedroom's Noah's. I sleep on the couch most nights anyway. Noah? My son. He's at the neighbor's right now. I need to go get him before school. Victoria turned to face him. You have a son? Yeah. And you just brought a stranger into his home. You're not a stranger. You're Victoria Hale. Ryan realized how stupid that sounded. I mean, I know what you mean. Victoria sat down slowly on the couch, every movement careful. Thank you for this. I'll be gone before your son gets home. You can barely walk. I'll manage. Sure. Ryan didn't argue. He was too tired. Look, I'm going to grab Noah and bring him to school. There's food in the fridge. Not much, but help yourself. I'll be back in an hour. We'll figure out next steps then. Victoria nodded. She looked small suddenly. Not like a billionaire. Just like someone who was hurt and scared and trying not to show it. Ryan grabbed his keys and left before he could second-guess himself. Noah was eating toast at Mrs. Chen's tiny kitchen table when Ryan knocked. The old woman opened the door with a knowing look. Long night? She asked. Something like that. Noah looked up and his whole face lit up. Daddy! That light was the only thing that kept Ryan going most days. He crouched down and Noah ran into his arms, small and solid and real. Hey buddy, sorry about the nightmare. It's okay. Mrs. Chen made me cocoa. With extra marshmallows, Mrs. Chen added. He is good boy, Ryan. You doing good job. Ryan felt that compliment settle somewhere behind his ribs. Mrs. Chen didn't give praise lightly. Thanks for watching him. Anytime. You know this. Ryan got Noah ready for school. Coat, backpack, shoes with the hole Noah was definitely aware of now. They walked to the bus stop 3 blocks away, Noah talking the whole time about a project they were doing in class about space. Did you know Jupiter is so big that all the other planets could fit inside it? Noah said. I did not know that. Ms. Rodriguez says it's a gas giant. That means it's made of gas, but it's still a planet. Isn't that weird? Pretty weird, Ryan agreed. The bus pulled up, Noah climbed the steps, then turned back. Daddy, are you okay? You look tired. Ryan forced a smile. I'm fine, bud. Just a long night at work. Have a good day, all right? Love you, Daddy. Love you too. The bus doors closed and pulled away. Ryan watched until it disappeared around the corner. Then he walked back to the apartment where a billionaire was hiding on his couch and wondered what the hell he'd just done. Victoria was exactly where he'd left her, sitting on the couch with her hands folded in her lap like she was waiting in a lobby somewhere. She looked up when Ryan walked in. Your son? She asked. At school. How old? 8. Victoria nodded slowly. What happened to his mother? Most people didn't ask that directly. Ryan appreciated it. Car accident, 3 years ago. Drunk driver ran a red light. I'm sorry. Yeah, me too. Ryan shrugged out of his coat. Look, I need to get some sleep. I've been up for 20 hours and I'm crashing. You should rest too. Doctor said you need to take it easy for a few days. I can't stay here for a few days. So leave. I'm not stopping you. Ryan kicked off his boots. But if you do, you're walking out that door with a concussion, broken ribs, and no plan. Your call. Victoria opened her mouth, closed it, finally said, You're very blunt. I'm very tired. Blunt's all I got left. Fair enough. Ryan grabbed a blanket from the closet and tossed it to her. Couch pulls out into a bed. There's Tylenol in the bathroom cabinet. I'm going to sleep for 4 hours. Try not to get us both killed while I'm out. He walked into Noah's room, his room for now, and closed the door. He was asleep in 90 seconds. Ryan woke to the smell of coffee. For a moment he was confused. He didn't own a coffee maker, couldn't afford coffee most weeks, but the smell was real and it was coming from the kitchen. He stumbled out of the bedroom. Victoria was standing at the stove, moving slowly but purposefully. She'd found Ryan's ancient coffee pot and somehow made it work. Toast was browning, eggs were scrambling. What are you doing? Ryan asked. Cooking. Sit down. You should be resting. I've been resting for 4 hours. Sit down. Ryan sat, mostly because he was too surprised to argue. Victoria slid a plate in front of him. Eggs, toast, coffee. Simple. But it had been a long time since someone made Ryan breakfast. You didn't have to do this, he said. You pulled me out of a burning car and gave me your couch. It's the least I could do. Victoria sat across from him with her own plate. She ate carefully, like her ribs hurt. Besides, I needed to move around, think. Remember anything new? Pieces, nothing complete. She sipped her coffee. I remember a meeting, boardroom. People were angry. My ex-fiancé was there, which doesn't make sense because he's not on my board. And then I remember driving in the snow and someone following me. After that, it's just the crash. You have an ex-fiancé? Had, past tense. Broke it off 6 months ago when I realized he wanted the company more than he wanted me. Victoria's voice was flat. His father's a senator, very powerful, very connected, very angry when I called off the wedding. Angry enough to kill you? Maybe. I don't know. She looked at Ryan. Why are you helping me? Really? Ryan thought about it. I spent 2 years after my wife died just trying to keep Noah and me together. Social services wanted to take him. Said a single father working overnight couldn't provide stable care. I almost lost him. And you know what I learned? Nobody helps people like me. Nobody helps people who are barely hanging on. So when I can help somebody, I do, because I remember what it felt like when nobody would. Victoria stared at him for a long moment. You're a good man, Ryan Mercer. I'm a tired man who makes bad decisions. Jury's still out on good. She almost smiled. Ryan's phone buzzed. Text from Marcus. Did you really take a Jane Doe patient home last night? Security footage has you leaving through the loading dock with someone in a wheelchair. Call me. Ryan's stomach dropped. We have a problem. He showed Victoria the phone. Her face went hard. They know. Hospital knows. Police probably know by now too. And if they know, then everyone knows. Victoria stood too fast, winced, grabbed the counter. I need to leave. Now. And go where? You can barely walk. I'll figure it out. Like hell you will. Ryan was thinking fast now. They saw footage of me leaving with you, which means they're going to come here looking, but they don't know you're Victoria Hale yet. They just know you're missing. So we make you not missing, we walk you back in, say you got confused from the concussion, and I was helping you get home. You give them a fake name, fake address. Buy yourself more time. That won't work. You got a better plan? Victoria opened her mouth, closed it. No. Then we're doing this. Ryan grabbed his coat. Come on, before they send cops here. They were halfway to the truck when the black SUV pulled up. Ryan's first thought was police, but the two men who stepped out weren't cops. Too polished, too expensive, corporate security. One of them smiled. Mr. Mercer, we'd like to talk to you about the woman you removed from Chicago Grace Hospital this morning. Ryan stepped in front of Victoria. Don't know what you're talking about. Security footage says otherwise. Now, we're not here to cause problems. We're just looking for our employer. Ms. Hale is a very important woman, and people are worried about her. Victoria's hand tightened on Ryan's arm. She's not here, Ryan said. The man's smile didn't reach his eyes. Then you won't mind if we check? Actually, I do mind. You're not cops. You don't have a warrant. Get off my property. The second man moved closer, bigger, not smiling at all. Mr. Mercer, you're making this difficult. Good. The big man reached for Ryan's arm. Victoria stepped forward. Her voice came out cold as winter. Touch him, and I'll make sure you spend the next decade in litigation so deep your grandchildren will still be paying legal fees. Both men froze. Victoria pulled down the surgical mask. The first man's face went pale. Ms. Hale. That's right. And you are? Thomas Webb, ma'am, head of your personal security team. We've been looking everywhere for you. Clearly not everywhere, since I've been here the whole time. Victoria's voice could have cut glass. Now explain to me why you're threatening the man who saved my life. We weren't threatening, ma'am. We were just... You were about to assault him in front of a witness. That's a felony, Thomas. Want to try again? Webb swallowed hard. We were sent to locate you and ensure your safety. Sent by who? The board, ma'am. When you missed this morning's emergency meeting, they became concerned. I was in a car accident. I have a concussion, and I'm taking a few days to recover. Tell the board I'll be back when I'm ready. Ma'am, with respect, there are urgent matters. Nothing is more urgent than my health, and Mr. Mercer is ensuring I have the privacy I need to recover. Is that understood? Webb looked like he wanted to argue, but Victoria Hale wasn't the kind of woman you argued with, concussion or not. Yes, ma'am, he said finally. Good. Now leave. The two men climbed back into the SUV and drove away. Ryan let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. That was terrifying, Victoria said quietly. Yes, because now they know I'm here. And worse, they know I'm with you. Is that bad? Victoria looked at him with something like pity. Ryan, you just became leverage, and leverage is the most dangerous thing to be in my world. Great. Ryan ran a hand through his hair. So what now? Now we figure out who tried to kill me. Because if we don't, they're going to come after both of us. And next time, they won't send security guards. Ryan thought about Noah at school, drawing pictures of Jupiter. Thought about the life he'd barely managed to hold together for 3 years. I should never have helped you, he said. No, Victoria agreed. You probably shouldn't have. But neither of them moved toward the truck. Neither of them ran. Because sometimes the right choice and the smart choice were two different things. And Ryan Mercer had already made his. Ryan stood in the parking lot watching the SUV disappear around the corner, his heart still hammering against his ribs. Victoria remained beside him, one hand pressed against her side where the broken ribs were, the other gripping his forearm like she might fall over without the support. We should get inside, she said. Yeah. But neither of them moved for another 10 seconds. The snow had started falling again, light flakes that caught in Victoria's dark hair and melted immediately. She looked fragile, standing there in borrowed scrubs and a coat that didn't fit. Nothing like the woman whose face appeared on magazine covers with headlines like, "The CEO Who Never Blinks." Ryan finally broke the silence. You really think they'll come after me? I don't think. I know. Victoria started walking toward the building, slow and stiff. The moment Thomas reports back that I'm staying here voluntarily, someone's going to start building a file on you. They'll find every weakness, every vulnerability, every pressure point they can use to separate us. Separate us? We're not... Ryan stopped. I'm not part of whatever corporate war you're fighting. You became part of it the second you pulled me out of that car. They climbed the stairs to the 3rd floor, Victoria gripping the railing hard enough that her knuckles went white. By the time they reached apartment 3C, she was breathing carefully through her teeth. Ryan unlocked the door and held it open. Victoria made it 3 steps inside before she had to sit down. When's the last time you took pain medication? Ryan asked. This morning. It's fine. It's not fine. You look like you're about to pass out. I've had worse. Ryan went to the bathroom and came back with Tylenol and a glass of water. Victoria took them without arguing this time, which told him exactly how much pain she was actually in. He sat down on the other end of the couch. All right, talk to me. Who wants you dead and why? Victoria leaned her head back against the cushion and closed her eyes. 6 months ago, I started noticing irregularities in our quarterly reports. Small things. Numbers that didn't quite add up. Contracts that shouldn't have been approved. I started digging quietly, keeping it off the books, because if I was right about what I was seeing, what were you seeing? Embezzlement, fraud, kickbacks to board members in exchange for favorable votes on acquisitions, hundreds of millions of dollars being siphoned through shell companies. Victoria opened her eyes. And my ex-fiance's father was laundering some of it through his campaign fund. Ryan whistled low. That's enough to put half my board in prison and destroy a senator's career. Yes. Victoria's jaw tightened. I was supposed to present evidence at yesterday's emergency board meeting, except I never made it. Someone ran me off the road 2 miles from the office. You think your ex did it? Christopher? Maybe. He's weak, but he's desperate. His father's running for governor next year. This kind of scandal would end that before it started. What about your board if you're about to expose them? Any of them could have ordered it, or all of them together. Victoria rubbed her temples. I don't know who I can trust anymore, which is why I can't go back. Not yet. Not until I figure out who's behind this and what their next move is. Ryan's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and felt his stomach drop. Marcus again. Cops were here asking about you and the Jane Doe. Said you left with a patient who may have been confused and disoriented. Asked if I knew where you lived. Didn't tell them anything but Ryan. What the hell is going on? Ryan showed Victoria the message. She read it and her face went hard. They're moving faster than I expected. Thomas must have called someone immediately. The cops are going to show up here. Probably within the hour. So what do we do? Victoria looked at him for a long moment. You should tell them I left. Say I thanked you for the ride home and walked away. You don't know where I went. You were just trying to help. They're not going to believe that. It doesn't matter if they believe it. It gives you distance, plausible deniability. You can go back to your life. Ryan laughed, but there was no humor in it. My life, right. The one where I work 70 hours a week and still can't pay rent. Where I lie to my kid about why we eat cereal for dinner. We're one bad break away from losing everything. He leaned forward. You know what the worst part is? I'm used to it. I'm used to being one disaster away from homeless. So honestly, what's one more? Ryan, no, listen. You said they're going to build a file on me. Find my weaknesses. Well, here's what they're going to find. I'm broke, I'm exhausted, and I'm barely holding my life together with duct tape and hope. But you know what else they're going to find? I don't scare easy, because I've already been scared for 3 straight years. You can't threaten someone with losing everything when they've already lost everything that mattered. Victoria stared at him. Your son matters. The words hit Ryan like cold water. Yeah, he does. Then think about what happens to Noah if this goes sideways. If someone decides the easiest way to get to you is through him. Ryan's blood went cold. He hadn't thought that far ahead. Hadn't considered that dragging himself into Victoria's mess might put Noah at risk. They wouldn't, he said, but even as he said it, he knew it was naive. You don't know these people, Victoria said quietly. I do. They'll use anything, anyone. Ryan stood up and walked to the window, looked out at the street below, where normal people were living normal lives, going to work, coming home, not hiding billionaires on their couches. So what do I do? He asked. Throw you out? Pretend this never happened? Yes, that's exactly what you do. And you? I'll figure something out. I always do. Ryan turned to face her. You can barely walk. You have no phone, no ID, no resources. Your own security team is hunting you, and someone wants you dead. How exactly are you going to figure it out? That's not your problem. Maybe I'm making it my problem. Why? Victoria's voice rose, frustrated and confused. Why would you risk your son's safety for someone you don't even know? Because Ryan stopped. He didn't have a good answer. Or maybe he did, and it just sounded stupid out loud. Because someone should. Because I'm tired of living in a world where everyone just looks the other way. Because Noah asked me last week if I would help someone even if it was really hard, and I said yes, and I'm not going to turn my kid into a liar. Victoria looked like she wanted to argue. Instead, she said, You're an idiot. Yeah, well, you're a billionaire hiding in a broke janitor's apartment. We're both making questionable choices today. Despite everything, Victoria almost smiled. Ryan's phone rang. He didn't recognize the number, but he answered anyway because ignoring calls when you were this poor was a luxury he couldn't afford. Mr. Mercer? A woman's voice. Professional. Cold. This is Detective Sarah Brennan with Chicago PD. I'd like to ask you a few questions about a patient you removed from Chicago Grace Hospital early this morning. Ryan met Victoria's eyes. She was watching him carefully. I didn't remove anyone, Ryan said. I gave someone a ride home. That's not a crime. No one's saying it is. We're just concerned for the woman's welfare. She left the hospital without being properly discharged, and we want to make sure she's safe. She seemed fine when I dropped her off. Where exactly did you drop her off? Corner of Madison and Wells. She said she lived nearby but didn't want me to know the exact address. Guess she was worried about privacy. Victoria raised an eyebrow. Ryan shrugged. Did she give you a name? Detective Brennan asked. Jane. That's all she said. And you didn't think it was strange that a woman with no ID, no phone, and no memory was asking you to take her somewhere? I thought she was confused from the concussion. I figured she'd call someone once she got home. Look, I was just trying to help. That's not illegal either. There was a pause on the line. Mr. Mercer, if you're withholding information in a missing persons case, I'm not withholding anything. I told you what I know. Another pause. Longer this time. All right. If she contacts you again, call this number immediately. Understood? Sure. Have a good day, Mr. Mercer. The line went dead. Ryan set his phone down. They're not buying it. No, Victoria agreed, but you bought us a few hours, maybe a day if we're lucky. And then what? Then I need to get my hands on the evidence I gathered. It's on a secure server at my office. If I can access it remotely, I can leak it to the press and the feds simultaneously. Once it's public, killing me becomes pointless. The damage is done. Can you access it from here? If I had a laptop and an internet connection, maybe. But I need my login credentials and a two-factor authentication code that gets sent to my phone, which is somewhere at the bottom of a parking garage right now. Ryan thought for a moment. The library downtown has computers. Public access. Too public. Security cameras everywhere. If they're tracking my digital footprint, they'll know the second I log in from an unrecognized location. So we're stuck. For now. Ryan checked the time. 2:15. Noah would be getting out of school in 40 minutes. He needed to be there for pickup because Noah got anxious when Ryan was late, ever since the social services scare last year when they'd shown up at school without warning. I have to get my son, Ryan said. I know. Which means I'm bringing him back here, to this apartment, where you are. Victoria's expression shifted. Ryan, no, that's not. I'm not leaving him with Mrs. Chen again. She's already watched him 2 nights this week and she won't take money for it. And I'm not telling him Daddy has to work late again because that's the 4th time this month. Ryan grabbed his coat. So you can either stay here and meet him or you can leave now and figure out your next move alone. Your choice. You're putting me in an impossible position. Welcome to my life. Everything's impossible. You learn to work with it. Ryan headed for the door. Wait, Victoria said. He turned. She looked uncertain in a way he hadn't seen before. What are you going to tell him about me? The truth, mostly, that you were in an accident and you're staying with us for a little while until you're feeling better. He doesn't need to know the rest. And if he asks questions? He's 8. He'll definitely ask questions. Ryan opened the door. You're a billionaire CEO. I'm sure you can handle one curious kid. He left before she could argue. The walk to Noah's school took 12 minutes in the snow. Ryan stood outside the chain-link fence with the other parents and guardians, most of them women, most of them looking as tired as he felt. Nobody talked to each other. That was the rule in neighborhoods like this. Keep your head down. Don't make connections. Don't give anyone ammunition. The bell rang and kids started flooding out. Noah appeared 3rd in his class line, backpack bouncing, coat already half unzipped, even though it was freezing outside. Ryan waved and Noah's face lit up like a spotlight. Daddy! He ran over and crashed into Ryan's legs. You're here! You're actually here. Of course I'm here, bud. Where else would I be? I don't know. You've been working a lot. Noah looked up with those big brown eyes that were exactly like his mother's. Mrs. Chen said you might be late again. Mrs. Chen worries too much. Ryan ruffled Noah's hair. Come on, let's go home. They walked hand in hand back toward the apartment. Noah talked the whole way about school, some kid named Marcus who'd thrown up in the cafeteria, a spelling test he thought he'd done well on, a drawing he made of Jupiter that his teacher said was really good. Can we get pizza tonight? Noah asked. Ryan's stomach tightened. He had $16. A pizza was $15 if he ordered from the cheap place and picked it up himself. Maybe this weekend, Ryan said. Tonight we're having spaghetti. We had spaghetti yesterday. Then you already know how good it is. Noah made a face but didn't argue. He'd learned not to push too hard about food. That was something no 8-year-old should have to learn, but here they were. They climbed the stairs to the 3rd floor. Ryan unlocked the door and Noah ran inside, already talking about the Jupiter project. Victoria was standing in the kitchen. She'd changed into some of Ryan's old clothes that she must have found in the bedroom, sweatpants and a flannel shirt that hung off her frame. Her hair was pulled back. The bandage on her head was still visible, but she'd tried to adjust it to be less obvious. Noah stopped talking mid-sentence. Victoria and Noah stared at each other. Noah, Ryan said carefully, this is Victoria. She's going to be staying with us for a few days. Why? Noah asked. Not rude, just curious. She was in a car accident. She got hurt, so Daddy's helping her until she feels better. Noah looked at the bandage on Victoria's head. Did you hit a tree? Something like that, Victoria said. Her voice was softer than Ryan had heard it before. Does it hurt? A little bit. When Daddy scraped his knee at the park, he used 3 Band-Aids. You only have 1. Is yours not as bad? Victoria blinked. I'm not sure. Maybe I need more Band-Aids. I have Spider-Man ones. Do you want a Spider-Man Band-Aid? I would love a Spider-Man Band-Aid. Noah dropped his backpack and ran to the bathroom to get his Band-Aid collection. Ryan looked at Victoria and saw something on her face he couldn't quite name. Surprise, maybe. Or discomfort. Or something else entirely. You don't have to, Ryan started. I know, Victoria said, but he offered. Noah came back with a fistful of Band-Aids. I have Spider-Man, Iron Man, and Captain America. Which do you want? What's your favorite? Spider-Man. Then Spider-Man it is. Noah beamed. He very carefully peeled the Spider-Man Band-Aid and stuck it on Victoria's forehead next to the actual bandage. It looked ridiculous. A $3 billion CEO wearing a cartoon Band-Aid applied by an 8-year-old. There, Noah said. Now you'll feel better faster. Thank you, Victoria said, and Ryan could tell she meant it. Noah turned to Ryan. Can Victoria stay for spaghetti? I think she was planning on it. Good, because we have a lot, and I can show her my Jupiter project. I would like to see your Jupiter project, Victoria said. Noah grabbed her hand and pulled her toward the bedroom where he kept his school stuff. Victoria went, moving carefully because of the ribs, but she went. Ryan watched them disappear into the other room and heard Noah already explaining about gas giants and orbital patterns. Ryan stood in the kitchen and wondered what the hell was happening to his life. He made spaghetti. Not the good kind with meat sauce and garlic bread. The cheap kind. Box of pasta, jar of sauce, nothing else. But he made enough for 3 people and he set the table like this was normal. Like he had billionaires eating dinner at his apartment every night. When the food was ready, he called them out. Noah came running. Victoria followed more slowly, and Ryan saw she was holding one of Noah's drawings, a crayon picture of the solar system with Jupiter colored in orange and red. This is really good, Victoria said to Noah. Thanks. The colors are all wrong, but we didn't have the right crayons. Teacher says Jupiter's supposed to have brown bands, but I only had orange. I think orange works. They sat down at the tiny table. 3 people squeezed into a space meant for 2. Noah started eating immediately, twirling pasta onto his fork with the concentration of a surgeon. Victoria ate more carefully, but she ate. Ryan noticed she was trying not to show how much the ribs hurt when she bent forward. So Victoria, Noah said around a mouthful of spaghetti, what do you do? Victoria glanced at Ryan. He gave her a tiny shrug. Your call. I run a company, Victoria said. What kind of company? We make software, programs that help other companies do their work better. Like apps? Sort of, more like the systems that make apps work. That sounds boring, Victoria laughed. Actually laughed. Sometimes it is. Daddy works at the hospital, Noah said. He fixes things when they break, pipes and lights and stuff. That's not boring. That's important. You're right, Victoria said. That is important. Is your job important? Victoria thought about it. I used to think so. Now I'm not so sure. Noah frowned like he was processing something complicated. Then he said, Well, even if your job is boring, you seem nice, so that's what matters. Ryan nearly choked on his water. Victoria looked at Noah with an expression that was part surprise, part something Ryan couldn't identify. Thank you, Noah. That's very kind. They finished dinner. Noah helped clear the table without being asked, which meant he liked Victoria because Noah only helped voluntarily when he was trying to impress someone. Ryan washed dishes while Victoria dried, moving slower now, the pain medication wearing off again. I should probably... Victoria started. Bath time, bud, Ryan called to Noah. You know the drill. But I want to show Victoria my rock collection. Tomorrow, bath now. Noah groaned but headed to the bathroom. Ryan heard the water start running. You don't have to let me stay, Victoria said quietly. I can find somewhere else. Where? I don't know. A hotel. Under a fake name. With what ID? What credit card? Ryan put down the dish he was washing. Look, I'm not trying to trap you here, but you're hurt, you're hunted, and you're out of options. So yeah, you're staying, at least until we figure out a better plan. I'm putting you at risk, both of you. You said that already. I mean it. I know you do. Ryan dried his hands. But here's the thing. Noah's first real memory of his mom is from the hospital after the accident. She was unconscious, all these tubes and machines, and I had to tell him she wasn't coming home. He was 5. He didn't understand, and for months after that, every time I worked nights, he thought I wasn't coming back either. Ryan, I'm not finished. What I'm trying to say is, Noah learned too young that the world is random and cruel, and people you love can disappear without warning. So when he sees someone who needs help, his first instinct is to help. Because that's what I taught him. That's what his mom would have wanted. Ryan looked at Victoria. If I turn you away now, after he's already met you, after he's already decided you're worth caring about, that teaches him something different. And I'm not ready to teach my kid that caring about people is dangerous. Victoria stared at him. Even if it is? Especially if it is. She didn't respond. Just stood there drying the same plate for 30 seconds until Ryan took it from her hands. Get some rest, he said. Well, we'll deal with everything else tomorrow. Noah called from the bathroom. Daddy, I need my towel. Ryan went to help his son. When he came back 10 minutes later with Noah in his pajamas, Victoria was asleep on the couch, still wearing Ryan's too big flannel shirt, one hand curled under her cheek like a kid. Is she okay? Noah whispered. Yeah, buddy, she's just tired. Daddy? Yeah? I like her. Is that okay? Ryan looked at his son, at the hope in his eyes, the same hope that Ryan had spent 3 years trying to protect from disappointment. Yeah, Ryan said. That's okay. He got Noah settled in bed, read him 3 pages of a book about a mouse who wanted to be a knight, and turned off the light. By the time he came back out to the living room, it was almost 9. Victoria was still asleep. Ryan grabbed a blanket from the closet and draped it over her carefully, trying not to wake her up or jostle her ribs. She stirred anyway. Ryan? I'm here. I need to tell you something. Can it wait until morning? No. She sat up slowly, wincing. If something happens to me, if they find me, if this goes wrong, there's a safety deposit box at First National Bank downtown. Box number 347. The key is in my office desk, 3rd drawer, taped under the bottom. Victorious? Let me finish. In that box is a backup drive with copies of everything I found, all the evidence, all the names. If I don't survive this, someone needs to get that drive to the FBI. Can you do that? Ryan sat down on the coffee table facing her. Nothing's going to happen to you. You can't promise that. No, but I can promise I'm not letting anyone hurt you while you're here. That's something. Victoria looked at him like she was trying to solve a math problem that didn't have an answer. Why do you trust people so easily? I don't. I trust you because Noah trusted you first. Kids are smarter about that stuff than adults. Noah's 8. Exactly. He hasn't learned to be suspicious yet. Sometimes I think that's not a bug. It's a feature. Victoria smiled, but it was sad. He reminds me of someone. Who? My little brother. He died when I was 15. Leukemia. He was 8, just like Noah. Same eyes, same curiosity about everything. She pulled the blanket tighter. After he died, my parents threw themselves into work, building the company, making money. They said it was for his memory, but really it was just easier than grief. And I learned that lesson. Work is safer than people. Success is more reliable than love. And by the time I figured out I was wrong, I'd built an entire empire on that foundation. Ryan didn't know what to say to that, so he said the only true thing he could think of. I'm sorry. Don't be. It made me who I am. Maybe who you are is more than just the empire. Maybe. Victoria lay back down. Or maybe I'm just a woman who ran out of road. Ryan stood up. Get some sleep. Tomorrow we figure out how to get you that evidence. Ryan? Yeah? Thank you for everything. Don't thank me yet. We haven't fixed anything. But Victoria was already asleep again. Ryan stood there watching her for another minute, this stranger who had crashed into his life, literally, and turned everything sideways. Then he grabbed the extra pillow from the closet and made himself a bed on the floor next to the couch. If anyone came through that door tonight, they'd have to go through him first. He was asleep in minutes, exhausted down to his bones. He didn't hear the car that parked across the street at midnight. Didn't see the man in the driver's seat take photos of the apartment window with a telephoto lens. Didn't know that somewhere across the city, those photos were being sent to people who were very interested in knowing exactly where Victoria Hale was sleeping tonight. But he would find out soon enough. Ryan woke to the sound of his phone buzzing against the floor. 5:30 a.m. Still dark outside. His back screamed from sleeping on carpet, and his neck had a knot the size of a golf ball. He grabbed the phone and squinted at the screen. Marcus. Don't come in today. Hospital admin wants to talk to you. Something about unauthorized removal of a patient. They're talking suspension pending investigation. Ryan sat up too fast. His vision swam. Suspension meant no pay. No pay meant no rent. No rent meant... He couldn't finish that thought. Victoria was awake on the couch, watching him. Bad news? I'm suspended from work because of you. He didn't mean for it to sound accusatory, but it came out that way. Victoria's face remained neutral, but something flickered in her eyes. I'm sorry, she said. Yeah, me too. Ryan stood up, joints popping. I need to call my supervisor, figure out what the hell is happening. He went into the bathroom and closed the door, splashed cold water on his face, stared at himself in the mirror. 32 years old, and he looked 50. Dark circles under his eyes. Stubble that had gone past scruffy into disheveled. He looked like exactly what he was, someone barely holding on. He called Marcus. Ryan, Marcus answered on the first ring. Man, I tried to warn you yesterday. I know. What's going on? Hospital got a call from some lawyer, big firm downtown, said you removed a patient without authorization and they're considering it kidnapping. Admin is freaking out. They put you on leave until they can investigate. That's insane. I didn't kidnap anyone. I gave someone a ride home. I believe you, but someone with money and lawyers doesn't. And you know how this works. Hospital can't afford a lawsuit, so they're going to hang you out to dry until this blows over. Marcus paused. Ryan, what the hell did you get yourself into? I was trying to help someone. Yeah, well, you helped yourself right out of a job, at least temporarily. Another pause. Look, off the record, my cousin works security at a tech company downtown. He said there's been chatter about Victoria Hale going missing, like big money missing. People are looking for her everywhere. Please tell me that's not who was in your truck yesterday. Ryan closed his eyes. Can't do that, Marcus. Jesus Christ, Ryan. I didn't know who she was when I helped her, and now it's complicated. Complicated doesn't cover it, man. Do you have any idea how much power someone like that has? How many people want a piece of her? You're playing in a whole different league. I'm not playing at all. I'm just trying to do the right thing. The right thing is going to get you killed. Or worse, it's going to get Noah taken away from you. You thought about that? Ryan had thought about nothing else since Victoria mentioned it yesterday. What am I supposed to do? Throw her out? Yes, that's exactly what you do. This isn't your fight. Maybe it should be. Marcus sighed, long and heavy. You're a good guy, Ryan, one of the best I know, but good guys with nothing to lose still have something to lose, and in your case, it's your son. Think about him before you do anything stupid. I am thinking about him. Then think harder. The line went dead. Ryan stood there holding the phone, Marcus's words echoing in his skull. He was right. Of course he was right. This was crazy, dangerous, stupid. But walking away felt worse. He came out of the bathroom. Victoria was sitting up now, the blanket wrapped around her shoulders. Noah's Spider-Man Band-Aid was still on her forehead. You're suspended because of me, she said. Not a question. Temporarily. Until they investigate. Which means no income. I'll figure it out. Ryan, let me help. I can make a call. Fix this. With what phone? And to who? Everyone you know either wants you dead or wants to use you. Ryan sat down on the coffee table again. Look, I appreciate the offer, but you making calls on my behalf will just make this worse. Right now, they think I'm some idiot janitor who made a mistake. The second you get involved, I become collateral damage in a corporate war. There's a difference. Not much of one. Enough of one. Victoria pulled the blanket tighter. I'm destroying your life. My life was already pretty destroyed. You're just adding new problems to the pile. Ryan tried to smile, but it didn't land. Besides, we've got bigger issues. Someone's watching us. What? Think about it. That lawyer who called the hospital knew exactly what happened, knew I took you, knew where I worked. That information didn't come from security footage. It came from someone tracking us. Victoria's face went pale. They found me. They found both of us. Question is what they're waiting for. Before Victoria could answer, Noah's bedroom door opened. He shuffled out in his dinosaur pajamas, rubbing his eyes. Daddy? Why are you awake so early? Couldn't sleep, bud. Go back to bed. I'm hungry. Of course he was. Kids were always hungry at the worst possible times. Ryan went to the kitchen and started pulling out cereal boxes. Noah climbed onto a chair at the table and Victoria moved to sit across from him, still wrapped in the blanket like armor. Do you like dinosaurs? Noah asked her. I don't know much about them, Victoria admitted. I have 17 dinosaur books. Well, 15. I had to sell 2 at the garage sale last year when Daddy needed money for my shoes. Noah said it matter-of-factly, like selling your books to pay for basic necessities was normal, which for them, it was. Ryan felt something crack open in his chest. He poured cereal into a bowl and didn't look at Victoria because he couldn't handle seeing pity on her face right now. What's your favorite dinosaur? Victoria asked Noah. Ankylosaurus. It has a club on its tail and armor plates. It's like a tank dinosaur. Nobody messed with Ankylosaurus. Sounds like a good dinosaur to be. Yeah, if I was a dinosaur, I'd be that one. What dinosaur would you be? Victoria thought about it seriously. Maybe a pteranodon. They could fly, get away when things got dangerous. But they weren't really dinosaurs. They were flying reptiles. That's different. You're right. I forgot that. Victoria smiled. You're very smart, Noah. That's what my teacher says. Daddy says it too, but he has to say it because he's my dad. I'm saying it and I'm not your dad, so it must be true. Noah grinned and ate his cereal. Ryan watched them and felt the weight of everything pressing down on his shoulders. This should have been a normal morning. Wake up, feed Noah, get him to school, go to work. Simple. Survivable. Instead, he was suspended from his job, hiding a billionaire who was probably being hunted by professional killers and watching his 8-year-old son bond with a woman who would disappear from their lives the second this was over. Nothing about this was sustainable. Ryan's phone buzzed again. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer, but something made him. Mr. Mercer. A man's voice, smooth, professional, the kind of voice that closed deals and ended careers. My name is Christopher Aldridge. I believe you're currently harboring my former fiancée." Ryan's blood went ice cold. He looked at Victoria. She was staring at him, already knowing. "I don't know what you're talking about," Ryan said. "Let's not waste time with lies. I know Victoria is with you. I know you're in over your head, and I know you have a son named Noah who attends Jefferson Elementary on the south side." Christopher let that hang in the air for 3 seconds. "Are you understanding me, Mr. Mercer?" Ryan's hand tightened on the phone. "If you touch my son, I'm not going to touch anyone. That's not how this works. I'm simply making sure you understand the reality of your situation." Christopher's voice stayed calm, reasonable, which somehow made it worse. "Victoria has something that belongs to me. Documents, evidence she's been gathering. I need those documents, and I need her to stop whatever she's planning. She doesn't have anything. She lost everything in the crash. We both know that's not true. Victoria Hale doesn't do anything without backup plans and fail-safes. She has copies somewhere. I need to know where. Even if I knew, why would I tell you? Because I'm offering you a way out. Right now, you're looking at a kidnapping charge, loss of employment, possible jail time, and a custody battle you won't win. But if you convince Victoria to give me what I need, all of that goes away. You get your job back. Your record stays clean. Noah stays with you. Everyone wins. Except Victoria. Victoria made her choices. She knew what she was risking when she started digging into things that weren't her business. Now she's dragging innocent people down with her. People like you. People like your son." Ryan looked at Noah eating cereal across the room, looked at Victoria watching him with something like resignation on her face, like she'd been waiting for this moment. "I need time to think," Ryan said. "You have until tonight, 6 p.m. I'll call back. If you don't have an answer I like, things are going to get very difficult for you and your family." Christopher paused. "And Mr. Mercer, don't try to run. We're watching. We know where you are at all times. There's nowhere you can go that we won't find you." The line went dead. Ryan set the phone down carefully, like it might explode. "What did he say?" Victoria asked quietly. Ryan glanced at Noah, who was still eating and oblivious. "Not here. After I take him to school." The next hour passed in mechanical routine. Get Noah dressed, pack his lunch, make sure he had his homework folder. Walk him to the bus stop through streets that suddenly felt hostile. Like every car might contain someone watching, every stranger might be reporting back. Noah chattered the whole way about the solar system project and how Ms. Rodriguez said they might get to paint their planets next week if everyone finished their math worksheets. "Will Victoria still be at home when I get back?" Noah asked as they reached the bus stop. "I don't know, buddy. I hope so. She's nice, and she needs someone to take care of her while she's hurt." "Yeah, she does." The bus pulled up. Noah climbed on, waving through the window. Ryan waved back and watched the bus disappear around the corner. Then he stood there for another minute, memorizing the moment, just in case everything was about to fall apart. When he got back to the apartment, Victoria was standing at the window, looking down at the street. "There's a gray sedan parked across from the building," she said. "2 men inside. They've been there since you left." Ryan looked. She was right. Christopher's people? Probably, or the board's. Does it matter? I guess not. Ryan closed the blinds. He wants the evidence. Said I have until 6 p.m. to convince you to hand it over, or things get difficult. He threatened Noah. Not directly, but yeah. That was the message. Victoria turned away from the window. She looked smaller somehow, defeated. "This is exactly what I was afraid of. They're using you to get to me." "So what do we do?" "You do nothing. I leave. Walk out that door, turn myself over to Christopher, and tell him I'll give him what he wants in exchange for leaving you alone." "And you think he'll keep that promise?" "No. But it gets you out of the line of fire. That's what matters." Ryan laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You're not walking anywhere. You can barely stand up straight. Those ribs are killing you, and you're about one bad movement away from passing out. Then I'll call him, tell him where to find me. And then what? He gets the evidence, destroys it, and you disappear. Problem solved for everyone except you." "I'm not your problem, Ryan." "No, you're my guest. There's a difference." Ryan sat down on the couch. "Look, I've been thinking about this. Christopher wants the evidence. Your board wants you silenced. But what they really want is control. They want to make sure you can't hurt them. That's what I've been saying. Right. But what if we take control away from them? What if we release everything before they can stop us? Victoria shook her head. I told you I need access to the secure server. I need my login credentials and two-factor authentication. I don't have any of that. But you know where the physical backup is. The safety deposit box. Even if we could get to it, First National has cameras everywhere. Security guards. The second I walk in there, someone's going to recognize me. And you walking in asking for my box with my key is going to raise red flags immediately. So we don't walk in. We send someone they won't suspect. Who? Ryan pulled out his phone and scrolled through his contacts, found the name he was looking for. Marcus's cousin, the one who works security at a tech company. Marcus said he's good with computers, knows his way around security systems. You want to hire a stranger to break into my safety deposit box? I want to hire someone who needs money and won't ask questions. That's different. Victoria stared at him. This is insane. You got a better idea? She didn't answer. Ryan made the call. 3 rings. Yeah? A man's voice, young, cautious. Is this Jordan? Marcus's cousin? Who's asking? Ryan Mercer. Marcus might have mentioned me. The guy with the billionaire problem. Yeah, he mentioned you, said you were in deep. Deep enough to need help. You interested in making some fast money? Depends how fast and how legal. $5,000 for 2 hours of work. Legality is questionable, but you won't get caught. Jordan whistled low. What's the job? I need you to retrieve something from a safety deposit box at First National Bank downtown. The key and all the documentation will be provided. You go in, access the box, retrieve the contents, and bring them to me. That's it. Whose box? Does it matter? If it's going to come back on me, yeah, it matters. Ryan looked at Victoria. She nodded slowly. Victoria Hale's box, Ryan said, but she's authorizing the access. This isn't theft, it's retrieval of her own property. Victoria Hale as in the Ice Queen? That Victoria Hale? That's the one. Jesus Christ, Marcus wasn't kidding. You are in deep. Jordan paused. 10,000. Half up front. I don't have 10,000. Then I guess you don't have a safety deposit box retrieval. Victoria held out her hand for the phone. Ryan gave it to her. Jordan, Victoria said, her voice dropping into that CEO tone that probably scared executives. This is Victoria Hale. I will personally pay you $15,000 if you do this job quickly and quietly. You'll have the money wired to whatever account you want within 24 hours of delivery. Do we have a deal? Silence on the other end. Then, you're really her? Yes. And you're really offering $15,000? I am. For 2 hours of work. For 2 hours of work that saves my life and possibly Ryan's. So, yes. Another pause. When? Today. Now. As soon as you can get downtown. I'll need the key and documentation. Victoria looked at Ryan. The key is in my office. 3rd drawer of my desk, taped under the bottom. Your office where people are definitely looking for you, Ryan said. Yes, that's why you're not going. Then who? I am. Victoria stood up, swaying slightly. I know the building. I know the security gaps. I can get in and out if we're smart about it. You can barely walk. Then you'll have to help me. Ryan wanted to argue, wanted to tell her this was suicide, but he looked at her face and saw the determination there, the same expression she probably wore in boardrooms when she was dismantling companies. Fine, he said, but we do this my way. We're not going in blind. He took the phone back from Victoria. Jordan, we'll have everything you need in 3 hours. Meet us at the corner of Madison and Wells at noon. Don't be late. I won't be. But Ryan, if this goes sideways, I'm walking. I'm not going to jail for you or her or anyone. Clear? Clear. Ryan hung up and looked at Victoria. Now comes the hard part. Getting into my office? No. Figuring out how to do it without getting killed. Victoria almost smiled. Welcome to my world. They spent the next hour planning. Victoria drew a rough map of her office building on the back of a grocery receipt. 12 floors. Her office on the top level. Security desk in the lobby. Keycard access required for the elevators. Cameras everywhere except the loading dock and the service stairwell on the east side of the building. Security shifts change at 11, Victoria said. That's our window. 15 minutes when they're focused on handoff procedures instead of monitoring cameras. And once we're inside, service stairs take us to the executive floor. My office door has a keypad lock. I know the code, obviously. We go in, grab the key, get out. 5 minutes tops. What about your security team, Thomas and his people? They'll be at the main entrance and the executive parking garage, not the loading dock. Nobody uses the loading dock except maintenance. Maintenance, Ryan repeated, which I am, or was, until yesterday. Exactly. You blend in. We both do. Ryan looked at the map, looked at Victoria. She was pale and clearly in pain, but her eyes were sharp, focused. This was the version of her that ran a billion-dollar company, the version that didn't accept failure. All right, Ryan said, let's do this. They left the apartment at 10:30. Ryan drove his beat-up truck through downtown Chicago traffic, while Victoria sat in the passenger seat wearing Ryan's old baseball cap pulled low and a pair of sunglasses she'd found in the glove compartment. She looked nothing like the polished CEO from magazine covers. She looked like someone who'd survived a car accident and was wearing borrowed clothes, which was accurate. The office building was a glass and steel tower in the financial district, 30 stories of corporate power. Ryan parked 3 blocks away in a public lot where the truck wouldn't stand out. You ready? He asked. No, but that's never stopped me before. They walked to the building through streets crowded with lunch hour foot traffic. Nobody looked at them. 2 more invisible people in a city full of them. Ryan kept his hand on Victoria's elbow, steadying her when she moved too fast and the ribs caught her. The loading dock was around back, down a concrete ramp that service vehicles used. Just like Victoria said, no security cameras. Just a keypad next to a steel door. Code? Ryan asked. Victoria punched in 6 digits. The door clicked open. Inside was a service corridor. Gray walls, fluorescent lights, the smell of cleaning supplies and old coffee, exactly like every service area Ryan had ever worked in. They found the stairwell and started climbing. 12 flights. Victoria made it to the 5th floor before she had to stop, breathing carefully through her teeth. I'm fine, she said, before Ryan could ask. You're not. I'm functional. That's good enough. They kept climbing. By the 10th floor, Victoria was gripping the railing hard enough to leave marks. But she didn't stop. Didn't ask to quit. Ryan recognized that kind of stubbornness. He'd lived with it for 3 years. The 12th floor door opened into a hallway that looked nothing like the service corridor. Thick carpet, art on the walls, glass doors with company names etched in them. This was where the real money lived. Victoria's office was at the end of the hall. The door had her name on it in steel letters. Victoria Hale, CEO. She punched in the code. The door unlocked. Inside was exactly what Ryan expected. Huge desk, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, expensive furniture that probably cost more than his truck. Everything clean and precise and controlled. Victoria went straight to the desk and pulled open the 3rd drawer. Her hands were shaking slightly as she reached underneath and peeled away tape. She pulled out a small silver key. Got it, she said. That's when they heard voices in the hallway. Ryan's stomach dropped. Victoria's face went white. The voices were getting closer. 2 men. One of them was Thomas, the security chief from yesterday. Ryan recognized his voice. Checked her apartment, checked her known associates. Nothing. It's like she vanished. She didn't vanish. Someone's hiding her. My money's on that janitor. We've had eyes on his place since last night. She hasn't left. Then she's still there, which means we need to move tonight, before she can do any more damage. The voices stopped right outside the office door. Ryan looked at Victoria. She pointed to a door on the far side of the office. Storage closet, maybe. They moved fast and quiet, slipping inside just as the office door started to open. The closet was small, barely enough room for both of them. Ryan pulled the door closed until only a sliver of light showed through. He could feel Victoria's breathing against his shoulder, fast and shallow. The ribs were killing her. Through the crack, Ryan could see Thomas walk into the office with another man. Suit. Expensive. Probably one of the board members. You're sure the key is here? The board member asked. She told me years ago she kept backup documentation. Said she didn't trust electronic storage for everything. The key has to be in this desk. Thomas pulled open the third drawer. Ryan felt Victoria tense beside him. Thomas reached underneath. His hand came back empty. He frowned and checked again. Then he pulled the drawer all the way out and looked at the bottom. "It's gone," he said. "What do you mean, gone?" "I mean, someone already took it. Look." Thomas held up the drawer, showing the torn tape. "This was done recently. Within the last day." The board member's face darkened. "She was here. Or someone was here for her. That janitor, the one hiding her. This is him." "Might be. But if he has the key, that means she has access to everything. We're running out of time." Then we escalate. "Call Christopher. Tell him to make the offer to the janitor non-negotiable. Whatever it takes to get Victoria to cooperate." Thomas nodded and pulled out his phone. Ryan's mind was racing. They knew. They knew he had the key, or thought he did, which meant Christopher's 6 p.m. deadline just got moved up. And non-negotiable meant Noah was in immediate danger. He needed to get out of here, needed to get back to Noah's school before these people did something irreversible. But they were trapped in a closet while two men who wanted Victoria dead were standing 15 feet away. Victoria's hand found Ryan's in the darkness. She squeezed once. Then she pointed at her watch and held up 5 fingers. 5 minutes. Wait 5 minutes, and they'd leave. Ryan nodded. They waited in silence. Thomas made his phone call, talked to someone about increasing pressure on the janitor, mentioned Noah's school specifically, mentioned how easy it would be to create a CPS situation that would remove Noah from Ryan's custody. Ryan's jaw clenched so hard his teeth ached. Finally, after what felt like hours but was probably only 4 minutes, Thomas and the board member left the office. The door closed. The lock clicked. Ryan and Victoria waited another 30 seconds. Then they slipped out of the closet. "We need to go," Ryan said. "Now." "I heard. They're going after Noah." "They're not going to get the chance." They ran for the service stairs. Well, Ryan ran. Victoria moved as fast as she could, which was barely a jog. Every step down the stairs made her wince. By the 8th floor, she was holding her side and breathing in short gasps. "Leave me," she said. "Go get Noah. I'll catch up." "Not happening." "Ryan, I said not happening." He put his arm around her waist and half carried her down the remaining floors. By the time they hit the loading dock door, Victoria was nearly dead weight against his side. But they made it out. Made it to the truck. Ryan drove faster than he should have through downtown traffic. Every red light felt like a personal attack. Every slow driver was a conspiracy. Victoria pulled out Ryan's phone from his jacket pocket and dialed. "What are you doing?" Ryan asked. "Calling the school, warning them not to release Noah to anyone but you." She put it on speaker. The school secretary answered on the 3rd ring. "Jefferson Elementary. This is Victoria Hale. I'm calling about Noah Mercer, 3rd grade class. There may be people attempting to pick him up from school today claiming to be authorized. Do not release Noah to anyone except his father, Ryan Mercer. This is a safety issue." "I'm sorry. Who is this?" "Victoria Hale. You can verify my identity by calling my office, but right now I need you to flag Noah's file and make sure he's safe." "Ma'am, I can't just take random calls, and Noah's father is on his way there now. He will be there in 10 minutes. Until then, Noah stays inside the building with a teacher present. If anyone else tries to take him, call the police immediately. Do you understand?" There was a pause. "I'll notify the principal." "Thank you." Victoria hung up. She looked at Ryan. "Drive faster." He did. They reached the school at 11:45. Lunch period. Kids were on the playground. Ryan parked illegally at the curb and ran for the entrance. Victoria followed more slowly. The principal met them at the door, middle-aged woman with kind eyes and a no-nonsense expression. "Mr. Mercer, we got a concerning call a few minutes ago. Can you explain what's happening?" "I need to take Noah out of school early. Family emergency." "What kind of emergency?" "The kind where I don't have time to explain. Is he safe? Has anyone else tried to see him?" "No. But we did have someone call 20 minutes ago claiming to be from Child Services. Said they needed to do a welfare check on Noah immediately." Ryan's blood went ice cold. "What did you tell them?" that they'd need to schedule an appointment and provide proper credentials. I've been doing this job for 20 years, Mr. Mercer. I know when something doesn't smell right. She looked at Victoria. And you are? A friend. Someone who's trying to help keep Noah safe. The principal studied them both for a long moment. Then she said, Noah's in the cafeteria. I'll have someone bring him to the office. But Mr. Mercer, if this is a custody situation, it's not. I promise. I just need to get him somewhere safe until I can sort this out. Sort what out? Something I got tangled up in without meaning to. And now it's affecting my son. That's all I can tell you right now. The principal nodded slowly. All right, but I'm making a note of this conversation. If anyone from CPS does show up with legitimate credentials, I'll have to cooperate with them. You understand that? I understand. Thank you. 5 minutes later, Noah appeared with one of the lunch monitors. His face lit up when he saw Ryan. Daddy, are we going somewhere? Yeah, buddy, we're taking a little trip. But I have math class after lunch. Math can wait. Come on. Noah grabbed his backpack from his locker and they walked out to the truck. Victoria was sitting in the passenger seat, head leaned back, eyes closed. She looked half dead. Noah climbed into the back seat. Is Victoria okay? She's fine. Just tired. Where are we going? I don't know yet. Somewhere safe. Ryan started the truck and pulled away from the school. In the rearview mirror, he saw a black SUV turn onto the street behind them, the same make and model as the one Thomas had been driving yesterday. Ryan, Victoria said quietly. She'd seen it too. I know. What do we do? Ryan thought about Christopher's deadline, thought about Thomas searching Victoria's office, thought about fake CPS calls to Noah's school. We go to war, Ryan said. Ryan made 3 turns in rapid succession, cutting through side streets Noah's bus never took. The black SUV stayed with them, hanging back just far enough to avoid being obvious. Noah pressed his face against the window, watching the unfamiliar neighborhood slide past. Daddy, why are we going this way? Just taking a different route, bud. Are we running away from something? Kids were too perceptive. Ryan should have known better than to think Noah wouldn't notice. We're being careful, Ryan said. That's all. Victoria turned in her seat to look at Noah. Your dad's really good at keeping people safe. Did you know that? He saved you, Noah said. He did. And now he's making sure all of us stay safe, including you. Noah seemed satisfied with that answer. He went back to looking out the window, tracking the buildings and cars like he was memorizing escape routes. Ryan wondered when his 8-year-old son had learned to think that way, then realized Noah had been learning it for 3 years, ever since his mom died and the world stopped being predictable. Ryan's phone rang. Jordan. Yeah, Ryan answered. I'm at the corner. Where are you? Change of plans. Meet us at the public library on State Street. 30 minutes. What happened to Madison and Wells? We've got company. Need to lose them first. Jesus Christ, I should have asked for 20,000. But Jordan didn't hang up. Fine. Library. 30 minutes. But I'm out after that. Fair enough. Ryan ended the call and took another hard right. The SUV had fallen back, but it was still there, black paint catching the winter sun. Victoria reached over and put her hand on Ryan's arm. There's a parking garage 2 blocks ahead, multi-level. We go in, drive up to the 3rd floor, then take the pedestrian exit down to street level. We'll come out a block away from where we went in. That'll work if they don't have multiple vehicles tracking us. If they have multiple vehicles, we're already caught, so we might as well try. Ryan hit the turn signal and pulled into the garage. The SUV kept going straight, which meant either they were idiots or they knew something Ryan didn't. He drove up the spiral ramps, tires squealing on concrete, until they hit the 3rd floor, found a spot near the pedestrian stairwell. Everybody out, Ryan said. Noah grabbed his backpack and climbed out. Victoria moved slower, one hand pressed against her ribs. They made it to the stairwell and started down. The stairs were narrow and poorly lit, the kind of place nobody wanted to be after dark. But it was noon, and they could hear other people using the garage, which meant witnesses, which meant relative safety. They exited onto a side street. Ryan looked both ways. No black SUV, no obvious surveillance, just regular people doing regular things. Okay, Ryan said. Library's 6 blocks north. We walk fast, stay in crowds, don't stop. They started walking. Noah stayed between Ryan and Victoria, his small hand gripping Ryan's jacket. Victoria was moving better now that the pain medication from this morning had kicked in, but Ryan could see the strain around her eyes. She was running on fumes and willpower. The library was a concrete fortress built in the 70s, all brutal architecture and narrow windows. Inside smelled like old books and floor polish. A security guard sat near the entrance reading a paperback. Homeless people occupied several tables near the bathroom, taking advantage of the heat and the free Wi-Fi. Nobody looked twice at Ryan and his odd family unit. Jordan was waiting near the reference section. Mid-20s, black, wearing a delivery driver uniform that made him look like he belonged everywhere and nowhere. He had the key in his hand before Ryan even reached him. "That was the longest 30 minutes of my life," Jordan said. "I saw 2 cop cars and a private security vehicle circle this block in the last 10 minutes. Whatever you're into, it's hot." "We know." Ryan took the key. "You get into the bank okay?" "Walked right in, gave them the documentation Victoria provided. They checked the signature, checked my ID against the authorized access list she'd faxed over. Thanks for that, by the way. Very professional. And took me straight to the box. In and out in 15 minutes. Jordan pulled a thumb drive from his pocket. Small, black, innocent looking. He handed it to Victoria. "Everything you need?" he asked. Victoria turned it over in her hands like it was a live grenade. "This is it, all of it." "Great, then my job is done. Wire the money to the account I texted you." "It'll be there by end of business today." Jordan looked at her, then at Ryan, then at Noah, who was watching everything with those 2 old eyes. "You 3 be careful. Whatever's on that drive, people are willing to kill for it. I saw it in their faces when they were circling outside." "We will," Ryan said. Jordan nodded once and walked away. Smart guy, knew when to exit. Ryan led them to a study room in the back of the library, one of those small glass-walled spaces with a computer terminal and a door that locked. He put Noah at the terminal with his backpack and told him to work on homework or play educational games or whatever kept him occupied. "But I want to know what's happening," Noah protested. "And I want you safe, so homework, now." Noah's face fell, but he nodded. He pulled out a worksheet and a pencil. Ryan felt like the world's worst father, but keeping Noah in the dark was better than the alternative. Victoria sat down at the second terminal and plugged in the thumb drive. Her hands were shaking slightly. Ryan stood behind her, watching the screen load. The drive contained folders, hundreds of them, financial records, email chains, voice recordings, video files. Years of evidence organized with the kind of precision that only someone like Victoria could manage. "This is everything," Victoria said quietly. "Every transaction, every bribe, every backroom deal. Christopher's father took $12 million in kickbacks from defense contractors. My board members embezzled $40 million through shell companies in the Caymans, and Christopher himself." She clicked open a video file. The video showed a boardroom. Christopher Aldridge sitting at the head of the table, talking to 3 men Ryan didn't recognize. The audio was clear. "Victoria's getting too close. She's seen the quarterly reports. If she presents this evidence to the board, we're all finished. My father's career is over. Your positions are gone. Everything we've built collapses." One of the other men leaned forward. "So what are you suggesting?" "I'm suggesting we remove the problem before she can become one. Make it look like an accident, car crash, slips on ice, something plausible." "You're talking about killing her." "I'm talking about survival. She's already destroyed our engagement. She's already humiliated me publicly. Now she wants to destroy everything else. So yes, I'm talking about killing her, unless you have a better idea." The video ended. Ryan felt sick. "That's from before the crash." 2 days before, Victoria said. "I recorded it on my phone. I'd gone to his office to talk about the evidence I'd found, try to give him a chance to explain himself. He left the room to take a call, and I heard him through the door, talking to someone about handling me. So I started recording. Then I hid my phone on the bookshelf before he came back in. He doesn't know you have this. He knows I have something, but he doesn't know exactly what. That's why he's so desperate to get the drive." Victoria pulled the thumb drive out, and now we have leverage. "What are we going to do with it?" "We're going to go public. Release everything simultaneously to the FBI, the SEC, and every major news outlet in the country. Once it's out there, killing me becomes pointless. The damage is already done. Ryan thought about that. But releasing it doesn't make you safe. Christopher and your board members will still want revenge. Probably. But they'll be too busy dealing with federal investigations and criminal charges to come after me effectively. And more importantly, you and Noah will be out of it. That's what matters. Victoria, don't argue with me on this. I got you into this mess. Now I'm getting you out. Noah looked up from his homework. Are you guys fighting? No, buddy, Ryan said. We're just figuring things out. It sounds like fighting. Kids and their honesty. Ryan met Victoria's eyes across the computer terminal. How long will it take to upload everything? He asked. With library Wi-Fi, probably 3 hours, maybe 4. That's too long. Christopher's deadline is in... Ryan checked his phone. 4 hours. He's going to move before we can get this out. Then we stall him, buy ourselves time. How? Victoria picked up Ryan's phone and dialed a number from memory. It rang twice. Victoria. Christopher's voice, smooth as ever. I was wondering when you'd call. I'm ready to deal. Really? That's unexpected. What changed your mind? You threatened an 8-year-old child. That changed my mind. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to give you the evidence. All of it. In exchange, you leave Ryan Mercer and his son alone. Forever. No retaliation, no revenge, no charges filed. They walk away clean. And what do you get out of this arrangement? I get to know I didn't destroy an innocent family. That's enough. Christopher laughed. You must really care about this janitor and his kid. How touching. How unlike you. Do we have a deal or not? Where and when? Victoria looked at Ryan. He mouthed 3 hours. 8 p.m., Victoria said. The parking garage where you tried to kill me seems poetic. Agreed. But Victoria, if this is some kind of trap, it's not. I'm tired, Christopher. I'm hurt. I'm done fighting. You win. I just want this over. We'll see. 8 p.m. Come alone. I will. Christopher hung up. Victoria set down the phone and looked at Ryan. That gives us 4 hours to upload everything and get it into the right hands before I meet him. You're not actually meeting him. Of course I am. That's insane. He tried to kill you once. He'll try again. Probably. But I'll have leverage this time. By 8 p.m., the evidence will already be in FBI hands. Killing me won't stop what's coming. Christopher's smart enough to know that. Ryan wanted to argue, but he knew that expression on Victoria's face. It was the same one he saw in the mirror every morning when he decided to keep fighting instead of giving up. Stubborn didn't begin to cover it. Fine, Ryan said, but I'm coming with you. No. Not negotiable. You want to walk into a trap? That's your choice. But you're not doing it alone. Ryan, if something happens to me, Noah needs you, which is why nothing's going to happen. We're doing this smart. We bring insurance. What kind of insurance? Ryan pulled out his phone and called Marcus. Please tell me you're okay, Marcus answered immediately. Because the hospital is losing their minds trying to find you, the cops have been here twice more asking questions, and I'm starting to think I'm going to be the next person who gets suspended for knowing you. I need one more favor, Ryan said. Of course you do. What is it? I need you to be somewhere at 8 p.m. tonight with your phone recording, just in case things go bad. In case things go bad? Ryan, what the hell are you planning? Hopefully nothing, but if I don't call you by 8:30, send the video to the police. Can you do that? Marcus was quiet for a long moment. You're scaring me, man. I'm scared too, but I need someone I trust on standby. You're the only person I've got. Where's this happening? Chicago Grace parking garage, the one where the accident happened. That's Jesus, Ryan. You're going back to where it started? Seems appropriate. Will you be there? Another pause. Then, yeah, I'll be there. But you better come out of this alive, you hear me? Noah needs his dad. I hear you. Ryan hung up and looked at Victoria. Insurance. You really think Marcus recording things from his phone is going to stop Christopher if he wants me dead? No. But it might make him think twice. And thinking twice is all we need. They spent the next 3 hours in that study room. Victoria uploaded files while Ryan kept watch through the glass walls, and Noah did homework and asked periodic questions about when they could go home. Each question felt like a knife in Ryan's chest because he didn't have a good answer. By 7 p.m., Victoria had successfully uploaded everything to secure servers with instructions to automatically forward to the FBI's Cybercrime Division, the SEC's Enforcement Office, and the tip lines of 5 major newspapers. By 7:15, she'd composed a detailed email explaining exactly what each file contained and who was implicated. By 7:30, she'd scheduled everything to send at 8:15 p.m. That gives us a 15-minute buffer, Victoria said. If something goes wrong before the deadline, the evidence still goes out. And if Christopher finds out you've already sent it, then he has no reason to keep his word about leaving you alone, which is why we don't tell him until after the meeting. Ryan didn't love the plan, but it was better than nothing. They packed up. Noah had fallen asleep in his chair, exhausted from a day that had gone sideways in every possible way. Ryan picked him up carefully. The kid barely stirred, just mumbled something about Jupiter and wrapped his arms around Ryan's neck. They took a cab to the hospital because Ryan's truck was still in the parking garage from this morning and might have a tracking device on it by now. The cab driver didn't ask questions, just took their money and dropped them off 2 blocks away. The parking garage looked different in the evening. Darker. More ominous. The wreckage from Victoria's Mercedes had been towed away, but Ryan could still see the black marks on the concrete where the car had burned. Marcus was waiting near the entrance, hands shoved in his pockets against the cold. "This is officially the stupidest thing I've ever been part of," Marcus said when Ryan approached. "Probably. Who's the kid?" "My son Noah. He's asleep." "You brought your son to whatever this is?" "Didn't have a choice. Couldn't leave him alone." Marcus looked at Victoria. "You're really her. Victoria Hale, the Ice Queen." "That's what they call me," Victoria said. "Huh. You look different than on TV, more human." "I'll take that as a compliment." It was meant as one. Marcus pulled out his phone. "All right, I'm set to record. Where do you want me?" "Second level," Ryan said. "Behind the concrete pillar near the stairwell. Good sightline to the entrance, but out of direct view." "You've thought about this." "I've had time." Marcus headed up the ramp. Ryan walked with Victoria toward the center of the garage where the lighting was best. He was still carrying Noah, who was dead weight in his arms. "You should take him back to the entrance," Victoria said. "This doesn't require both of us. We've been over this." "Ryan, if Christopher sees Noah..." "He won't. I'll keep him out of sight, but I'm staying." Victoria looked like she wanted to argue, but headlights cut through their garage before she could. A black SUV pulled in slowly, deliberately. It stopped 30 feet away. The engine cut off. Christopher Aldridge stepped out. He looked exactly like his photos. Mid-30s, expensive suit, the kind of face that had never worried about money or consequences. He smiled when he saw Victoria. "There you are. I was starting to think you'd changed your mind. I gave you my word." "Your word?" "Right, the same word you gave me when you accepted my engagement ring, then broke it off 6 months later on national television. You proposed at a charity gala without asking me first. What did you expect?" "I expected loyalty, partnership. Instead, I got humiliation." Christopher's eyes moved to Ryan. "And who's this? The janitor?" "His name is Ryan Mercer. He saved my life, and he's here to make sure you keep your end of the deal." "My end?" Christopher laughed. "Victoria, you still think you're negotiating from a position of strength. That's adorable. Where's the evidence?" "I'll tell you where it is once you agree in writing that Ryan and Noah are off limits. Forever. No retaliation. No charges. Nothing." "You want me to put that in writing?" "Yes." "And you think I'll honor a written agreement after everything you've done to me and my father?" "I think you're smart enough to know that revenge has consequences. And I think you want the evidence badly enough to make concessions." Christopher studied her. "You've changed. The old Victoria would never have negotiated like this. She would have burned everything down and walked away without looking back. Maybe I learned something about the cost of burning things down." "From him?" Christopher nodded toward Ryan. "From some broke janitor with a kid? What could he possibly teach you?" Ryan shifted Noah in his arms. The boy was still asleep, face pressed against Ryan's shoulder. "He taught me what matters," Victoria said. "Something you never understood." Christopher's expression darkened. "You're in love with him." Victoria didn't answer. Oh, this is rich. The Ice Queen falls for someone with nothing. It's like a bad movie. Christopher pulled out his phone. Well, I've got news for you, Victoria. I don't need you to tell me where the evidence is. I've got people going through your apartment right now, your office, your safety deposit box. We'll find it eventually. Actually, you won't, because it's already gone. Christopher's smile faltered. What? The evidence. I sent it to the FBI 20 minutes ago, also to the SEC, the Chicago Tribune, the Washington Post, and CNN. By tomorrow morning, everyone in the country will know exactly what you and my board members did. The fraud, the embezzlement, the attempted murder. The color drained from Christopher's face. You're lying. I'm not. Check your email. I CC'd you on everything. Christopher fumbled with his phone. Ryan watched his expression change from confidence to disbelief to rage. It would have been satisfying if it wasn't also terrifying. You've destroyed everything, Christopher said quietly. I destroyed the corruption. That's different. My father's career was built on kickbacks and bribery. He destroyed it himself. You'll pay for this. Christopher took a step forward. Ryan moved between him and Victoria. That's far enough. You think you can stop me? You're nobody. A janitor. You don't matter. Maybe not. But I matter to Noah. And I matter to Victoria. And that's more than you've ever mattered to anyone. Christopher's face twisted into something ugly. He reached into his jacket. Everything happened fast. Ryan saw the gun, saw Christopher's hand moving, saw Marcus running from his position behind the pillar, phone raised, shouting something Ryan couldn't hear. Ryan threw himself sideways, still holding Noah, putting his body between the gun and his son. He felt Victoria grab his arm, trying to pull him back. Heard Christopher shouting about how they'd all ruined everything, how they deserved this. The gunshot was louder than Ryan expected, echoed through their garage like thunder. But the bullet didn't hit Ryan, didn't hit Noah or Victoria. It hit the concrete pillar behind them, sending chips of stone flying. Because Marcus had tackled Christopher from the side, knocking his arm up at the last second. The two men went down hard. The gun skidded across the pavement. Marcus pinned Christopher to the ground while Christopher screamed about lawsuits and assault and how Marcus would regret this. Ryan stood there breathing hard, clutching Noah, who had woken up and was crying into Ryan's shoulder, asking what was happening, asking if they were okay. We're okay, Ryan said. His voice didn't sound like his own. We're okay, buddy. I've got you. Victoria was on the phone already, calling 911, her voice sharp and controlled even though her hands were shaking. Shots fired at Chicago Grace Hospital parking garage. One man armed and restrained. We need police immediately. Marcus kept Christopher pinned. Ryan, get the gun, before he tries something else. Ryan carefully set Noah down. Stay right here. Don't move. He walked over and picked up the gun. It was heavier than he expected. He'd never held one before. Never wanted to. He checked that the safety was on and tucked it into his waistband. Christopher was still screaming. You can't do this. Do you know who my father is? Do you know what he'll do to all of you? Your father's going to be too busy with his own indictment to worry about us, Victoria said coldly. The evidence goes public in 10 minutes, and now you've just committed attempted murder in front of multiple witnesses. You're done, Christopher. Completely done. Sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. Ryan went back to Noah and picked him up again. The boy was still crying, terrified and confused. Daddy, I don't understand what's happening. I know, buddy, I know. But it's over now. We're safe. Victoria came over and put her hand on Noah's back, rubbing small circles the way mothers do. You were very brave, Noah. Your dad kept you safe, just like he promised. I want to go home. We will, Ryan said. Soon. Police cars flooded the garage, officers with guns drawn, shouting commands. Ryan set Noah down carefully and put his hands up, showing he wasn't a threat. Marcus did the same. Christopher was handcuffed and hauled to his feet, still shouting about lawyers and consequences and revenge. Detective Brennan appeared, the same one who'd called Ryan yesterday. She looked at the scene, Marcus, Victoria, Ryan holding Noah, Christopher in handcuffs, and her expression shifted from confusion to understanding. Mr. Mercer, she said, Would you mind explaining what just happened here? That man tried to kill us, Ryan said. Marcus stopped him. That's the short version. And the long version? Victoria stepped forward. The long version involves corporate fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy to commit murder. I have evidence of all of it that's currently being reviewed by federal investigators. But the immediate concern is that Christopher Aldridge just attempted to murder 3 people, including a child. Everything was recorded. She pointed to Marcus. He has video of the entire incident. Detective Brennan looked at Marcus. Is that true? Every second, Marcus said. From the moment they arrived until Chris pulled the gun. It's all on my phone. Brennan nodded slowly. All right. I'm going to need statements from all of you, and that phone. But first, she looked at Noah, who was clinging to Ryan's leg. Let's get this kid somewhere warm and safe. He's been through enough. An officer brought blankets. Another one offered hot chocolate from somewhere. Noah drank it while sitting in the back of a patrol car with Ryan, wrapped in a blanket that smelled like diesel and old coffee. Daddy? Noah said quietly. Is Victoria going to be okay? Ryan looked through the windshield. Victoria was giving her statement to Detective Brennan, her posture straight despite the broken ribs, her voice steady despite everything. She looked exactly like what she was, someone who had survived something impossible and refused to break. Yeah, Ryan said. She's going to be okay. Are we going to be okay? Ryan pulled Noah closer. We're going to be better than okay. I promise. It took 4 more hours to give statements, review Marcus's video, and process the scene. By midnight, Christopher Aldridge was officially charged with attempted murder and being transported to county lockup. By 12:30, the evidence Victoria had compiled was confirmed received by the FBI and actively being investigated. By 1 a.m., the first news articles were going live online with headlines like Tech CEO exposes massive fraud and billionaire's ex-fiancé arrested for attempted murder. By 1:30, Ryan was sitting in the hospital cafeteria with Noah asleep across 2 chairs and Victoria across from him looking more exhausted than anyone Ryan had ever seen. It's over, she said. Is it? The evidence is out. Christopher's arrested. The FBI is moving on the board members and his father. By morning, my company will be in chaos and I'll be front-page news again. But yeah, it's over. Ryan drank terrible cafeteria coffee and tried to process everything. What happens now? Now I go back to work, clean up the mess, rebuild the board, try to salvage what's left of my company. Victoria looked at Noah. And you go back to your life, get your job back, take care of your son, forget any of this happened. I don't think I can forget it. You should try. This world I live in, it's not safe, it's not kind, and you and Noah deserve better than being collateral damage in my wars. Ryan met her eyes across the table. What if we don't want to forget? Victoria looked away. Ryan, I'm not saying I have this figured out. I don't. But Noah asked me tonight if you were going to be okay. Not once. 5 times. That kid has barely let anyone into his life since his mom died, and he let you in. That means something. It means he's a sweet child who deserves stability, not a woman who brings armed men and federal investigations into his life. Maybe. Or maybe he deserves someone who showed him what it looks like when people fight for each other instead of running away. Victoria's eyes were shining. I don't know how to do this. The normal life thing, the family thing. I've spent 15 years building walls, and now you're asking me to tear them down. I'm not asking you to do anything. I'm just saying the door's open if you want to walk through it. Victoria wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. It was the most human gesture Ryan had seen from her. I should let you go. It's the right thing to do. Probably, but since when do either of us do the right thing? Despite everything, Victoria smiled. Fair point. Noah stirred in his sleep, mumbling something about dinosaurs and Spider-Man. Ryan reached over and adjusted the jacket he draped over his son like a blanket. He really does like you, Ryan said. I really like him too. Both of you. Victoria stood up slowly, wincing as her ribs caught. But I need time to think, to figure out what my life looks like after all of this. And you need time to get your life back together without me complicating it. How much time? I don't know, weeks, maybe months. Ryan stood too. Okay, take your time. We'll be here. You don't know that. Yeah, I do. Because for the first time in 3 years, I met someone who makes me think there might be something worth hoping for besides just surviving. So take your time. Figure things out. But don't disappear completely. Noah would never forgive me. And honestly, I wouldn't forgive myself. Victoria looked at him for a long moment. Then she stepped forward and kissed him, quick, soft. A promise and a goodbye at the same time. Thank you, she said, for everything. Then she walked away, back straight despite the pain, heading toward whatever came next. Ryan watched her go, watched the Ice Queen of Silicon Valley disappear into the hospital hallway. Then he picked up Noah and carried his son home through streets that were just starting to see morning. They'd survived. Against impossible odds and powerful enemies, they'd survived. And for tonight, that was enough. 3 weeks passed before Ryan heard from Victoria again. 3 weeks of explaining to Noah why the woman who'd stayed on their couch wasn't coming back. 3 weeks of fielding calls from reporters who wanted the janitor's perspective on the Ice Queen scandal. 3 weeks of watching Victoria's face on every news channel while federal investigators dismantled her former board piece by piece. Christopher Aldridge's trial was set for summer. His father had resigned from the Senate in disgrace. 4 board members were already indicted. And Victoria Hale had become the most famous whistleblower in corporate America. Ryan went back to work at the hospital after his suspension was lifted with an apology and back pay that almost made up for the 3 weeks of terror. Almost. Marcus got promoted to day shift supervisor and made sure Ryan never had to work a double again unless he wanted to. Small victories, they added up. But Noah asked about Victoria every single day. Where is she? When is she coming back? Does she remember us? And Ryan never had good answers. Just variations of, I don't know, and maybe someday, and she's busy fixing her company. Then on a Tuesday in early March, Ryan's phone rang while he was replacing ceiling tiles in the cardiac wing. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer. Ryan, Victoria's voice, tired but steady. I'm sorry it took me so long to call. Ryan sat down on his tool bucket. You sound exhausted. I am. The board restructuring took longer than expected, and the media won't leave me alone. Every interview is the same questions. How did you discover the fraud? What made you come forward? Do you regret exposing your own company? Do you? No, but I regret the collateral damage. Good employees lost their jobs when the stock tanked. Investors lost money, and you and Noah, she paused. I turned your lives upside down. We survived. Noah's back in school, I'm back at work, rent's paid. We're okay. Just okay? Ryan thought about the last 3 weeks. The nightmares Noah had been having. The way his son kept drawing pictures of 3 people standing together, a man, a woman, and a child, like he was trying to manifest something that didn't exist anymore. The way Ryan's apartment felt emptier than it had in 3 years despite nothing actually being gone. No, Ryan admitted. Not just okay, but we're dealing with it. I miss him, Victoria said quietly. Noah. I miss the way he asked me about dinosaurs like I should know everything. I miss watching him do homework at your kitchen table. I miss... She stopped. I miss feeling like I was part of something that mattered outside of boardrooms and quarterly earnings. So come see him. I can't. Every move I make is photographed. Every place I go ends up online. If I show up at your apartment, the media will turn you and Noah into a story. The janitor and his son who saved the billionaire. It'll never end. But Victoria, I'm not saying no forever. I'm saying I need more time to figure out how to do this without hurting you both more than I already have. Ryan wanted to argue. Wanted to tell her that Noah needed her more than she realized, that he needed her. But he understood what she was saying. Fame and privacy didn't coexist, and dragging Noah into a media circus would destroy the quiet life Ryan had fought 3 years to maintain. Okay, Ryan said. Take the time you need. But Victoria, don't take so long that Noah forgets you, because right now you're still real to him. Give it too much time and you'll just become another person who left. The line went quiet. Then Victoria said, I'll call him, tonight, if that's okay. He'd like that. Ryan, thank you for understanding, for not hating me. I could never hate you. You should. I made your life infinitely more complicated. You also made it matter more. There's a difference. Victoria hung up without saying goodbye. Ryan sat there on his tool bucket for another 5 minutes, staring at his phone, before Marcus found him and asked if he was planning to finish those ceiling tiles or just meditate under them all day. That night, Victoria called at 7:30 p.m. Noah answered on speakerphone because Ryan was doing dishes and Noah couldn't work the call controls yet. Victoria! Noah's whole face lit up. Daddy, it's Victoria! Ryan dried his hands and came to sit next to his son at the table. Hi, Noah, Victoria said. Her voice was different over the phone, softer. How are you? I'm good. I got an A on my solar system project. Ms. Rodriguez said my Jupiter was the best in the class. That's wonderful. I knew it would be. Are you okay? Daddy said you were really busy fixing things. I am busy, but I'm okay, just tired. When are you coming back? Ryan saw Victoria's answer coming before she said it. I don't know, Noah. Things are complicated right now, but I wanted to call and tell you that I think about you every day. And I miss you. I miss you too. I drew you a picture. It's a pteranodon because you said that's what you'd be if you were a dinosaur. Through the phone, Ryan heard something that might have been Victoria crying or might have been static. I would love to see that picture. Daddy, can we send it to her? Yeah, bud. We can send it. They talked for 20 more minutes. Noah told Victoria about school and his friends and the book he was reading about knights. Victoria told Noah about the company and how she was trying to make it better so people wouldn't get hurt anymore. She didn't mention the indictments or the trial or Christopher's face on the news every night promising revenge. When they finally hung up, Noah looked at Ryan with those two perceptive eyes. She's not coming back, is she? Ryan didn't want to lie. I don't know. She wants to, but it's complicated. Why? Because she's famous now, and famous people have a hard time doing normal things. Every time she goes somewhere, people take pictures and ask questions. She doesn't want that to happen to us. But I don't care about pictures. I know, but she cares about keeping you safe. That's what people do when they love someone. They try to protect them, even if it hurts. Noah thought about that. Do you think she loves us? Ryan remembered the kiss in the hospital cafeteria, the way Victoria had looked at Noah like he was something precious and breakable. The way she'd put herself between danger and Ryan's son without hesitation. Yeah, Ryan said. I think she does. Then we should protect her too, because that's what people do when they love someone. Out of the mouths of 8-year-olds came the kind of wisdom that made grown men feel stupid. Ryan pulled Noah into a hug and held on tight. 2 months became 3. Victoria called every Tuesday night at 7:30. Sometimes she and Noah would talk for 10 minutes, sometimes for an hour. Ryan would sit nearby, listening to his son tell stories about school and Victoria, responding with genuine interest that never felt forced. She remembered details from previous calls, remembered which friend Noah had been fighting with and whether they'd made up. Remembered the name of Noah's teacher and his favorite lunch. And slowly, something shifted in the calls. Victoria stopped talking about the company as a burden and started talking about what she was building. Programs to help single parents afford childcare, initiatives to provide housing assistance for working families, employee benefits that actually acknowledged people had lives outside of work. I'm restructuring everything, she told Ryan one night after Noah had gone to bed, and Ryan had taken the phone into the bedroom for privacy. Using what I learned from you. From me? I don't run a company. No, but you understand what it means to work yourself to death and still not have enough. You understand what it's like when one bad day can cost you everything. Most executives have no idea what that feels like, so I'm making sure my company does better. That's good. That matters. I know, but Ryan, I'm drowning in work. 18-hour days, 7 days a week. I barely have time to sleep, much less... She trailed off. Much less what? Much less have a life. Much less be the person Noah drew in that picture he sent me. The one where we're all standing together. Ryan looked at that picture now. It was taped to his bedroom wall. 3 stick figures holding hands, one tall with dark hair labeled Victoria, one medium-sized labeled Daddy, one small labeled Me. Above them, Noah had written family in crayon letters that went upward at an angle. He still asks when you're coming to visit, Ryan said. I know, and I still don't have a good answer. Victoria, it's been 3 months. The media circus has died down. Christopher's trial isn't until summer. You've rebuilt your board and stabilized the company. What are you waiting for? I don't know. Maybe I'm scared. Of what? Of not being enough. Of walking back into your life and realizing I don't fit. Of watching Noah look at me like I'm a stranger because I waited too long. Her voice cracked. Of being so out of practice at caring about people that I mess it up and hurt both of you worse than if I'd just stayed away. Ryan closed his eyes. You think you're the only one who's scared? I'm terrified. I'm a broke hospital janitor raising a kid alone in a neighborhood where gunshots are normal and the heat doesn't always work. What do I have to offer someone like you? What kind of future is that? Ryan, but Noah doesn't care about any of that. He cares that you remember his teacher's name. He cares that you called every Tuesday for 3 months without missing once. He cares that you're the first person besides me who made him feel like he mattered. So yeah, you might mess this up. I might mess this up. We'll probably both mess this up in ways neither of us can predict. But messing up together is better than being perfect and alone. Victoria didn't respond for a long time. Then she said, I'm coming to Chicago this weekend. There's a charity gala Saturday night for single-parent housing initiatives. I'm the keynote speaker. After that, I'm free. If you and Noah wanted to meet me somewhere private where the media won't find us. Where? There's a park on the north side, Lincoln Park, near the zoo, Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Does that work? Ryan thought about his work schedule. Thought about whether he could afford cab fare if the truck didn't start. Thought about all the reasons this was a terrible idea and one reason it wasn't. We'll be there, Ryan said. Saturday passed in painful slowness. Noah was so excited he couldn't sleep Friday night, kept asking if it was time yet, if they could leave early, if Victoria would really be there. Ryan had no guarantees to give him except, we'll find out together. Sunday morning arrived cold and clear. March in Chicago was unpredictable, but today the sun was shining and the snow had mostly melted. Ryan dressed Noah in his best clothes, which weren't much, and tried to comb down the cowlick at the back of his son's head that never stayed flat. Do I look okay? Noah asked, suddenly anxious. You look great, bud. What if she doesn't recognize me? She'll recognize you. Trust me. They took the bus because Ryan's truck had made an ominous grinding sound yesterday, and he didn't want to risk it breaking down. Noah pressed his face against the window the whole ride, watching the city slide past, counting down stops until they reached Lincoln Park. The park was mostly empty this early, a few joggers, some people walking dogs, a woman pushing a stroller. But near the zoo entrance, standing alone by a bench, was Victoria Hale. She looked different than she had in the hospital 3 months ago. Healthier. No more bandages or bruises. Her hair was pulled back and she wore jeans and a coat that looked expensive but not flashy. She was scanning the park like she was searching for something. Then she saw Noah. Her whole face changed, opened up in a way Ryan had never seen before. Noah broke into a run, his hand slipping out of Ryan's. Victoria! She dropped to her knees just in time to catch him, wrapping her arms around the 8-year-old who crashed into her with enough force to knock most people over. But Victoria held on tight, her face buried in Noah's hair, and Ryan could see her shoulders shaking. By the time Ryan reached them, Victoria was crying openly. Not the controlled tears from that first night in his apartment. Real, messy crying that made her look more human than any magazine cover ever could. You came, Noah said, pulling back to look at her. You really came. Of course I came. I promised, didn't I? You promised to call on Tuesdays and you did that every time. So I thought maybe you'd do this too, but I wasn't totally sure. Victoria laughed through the tears. I will always keep my promises to you, Noah. Always. She stood up slowly and looked at Ryan. For a moment, neither of them said anything. Then Victoria stepped forward and hugged him too, careful but genuine. Thank you for bringing him, she said quietly. Thank you for giving me another chance. You didn't need another chance. You just needed to show up. They walked through the park together. Victoria and Noah held hands while Ryan walked beside them, watching his son talk a mile a minute about everything that had happened in the last 3 months. Victoria listened to all of it, asking questions, laughing at the funny parts, sympathizing with the hard parts. They got hot chocolate from a vendor near the pond, sat on a bench watching ducks swim in water that was still partially frozen. Noah sat between them, swinging his legs and asking Victoria about her company and whether she still had that Spider-Man Band-Aid he'd given her. "I do," Victoria said. "It's in a frame in my office, right next to the picture you drew of the three of us." "Really?" "Really. It reminds me what I'm working for. Why all of this matters." Noah thought about that. Then he said, "Daddy says you're helping other families like us. Families where the parents work really hard but don't have enough money." "That's right. That's good. Because a lot of kids at my school have parents like that. And some of them don't have snacks because their parents can't afford them. Daddy always shares his lunch with me so I can share with Marcus, who doesn't have anything." Victoria looked at Ryan. "You give Noah your lunch?" "It's not a big deal." "It is a big deal. It's—" She stopped, took a breath. "That's exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing. So parents like you don't have to choose between eating and making sure your kid has enough. So kids like Noah don't have to share their lunch because someone else's parent is just as broke as you are." "It's working," Ryan said. "I read about your programs, the housing initiative, the child care subsidies. That's going to change lives." "I hope so, but Ryan, I need you to understand something. I'm not doing this because I'm a good person. I'm doing it because you showed me what it costs when people like me don't pay attention. When we make decisions from boardrooms without understanding what happens on the ground. You and Noah taught me that, and I'm trying to make sure I never forget it." Noah tugged on Victoria's sleeve. "Can you come to my birthday party? It's in May. I'm going to be 9. Victoria glanced at Ryan. He could see the question in her eyes. "Is this okay? Are we doing this?" Ryan nodded. "We'd love to have you." "Then I'll be there," Victoria said. "Wouldn't miss it." They stayed in the park until noon, when Noah started getting hungry, and Ryan realized they'd need to catch the bus home soon. Walking back to the bus stop felt like the end of something, even though Ryan knew it didn't have to be. At the corner where they'd part ways, Victoria crouched down to Noah's level one more time. "I'm going to keep calling on Tuesdays," she said, "and I'm going to visit more often, maybe once a month. Would that be okay?" "Can't you visit every week?" "I wish I could, but I still have a lot of work to do with the company, and sometimes I have to travel. But I promise I'll come as often as I can, and I promise I won't disappear again. Okay?" Noah hugged her. "Okay." Victoria stood and looked at Ryan. "Walk with me for a minute?" Ryan told Noah to wait by the bus stop sign. Then he followed Victoria a few feet away. "I don't know how to do this," Victoria said. "I don't know how to be part of your life without overwhelming it. I don't know how to balance what I feel with what's realistic. And I definitely don't know how to date someone when I'm still cleaning up a corporate disaster and he's raising a kid alone in a neighborhood I can't just show up in without causing a scene." "So we figure it out as we go," Ryan said. "No pressure, no timeline, just 3 people who care about each other trying to make something work." "What if it doesn't work?" "Then at least we tried. At least Noah gets to have someone else in his life who gives a damn. And at least I get to know what it feels like to care about someone again." Ryan reached out and took her hand. "I'm not asking you to be perfect, Victoria. I'm just asking you to be here, however that looks. Whatever that means. As long as you keep showing up, we'll figure out the rest." Victoria squeezed his hand. "You make it sound simple. It is simple. We're the ones who complicate it." She smiled. "When did you get so wise?" "About 3 years ago, when I realized life's too short to waste time on things that don't matter, and too precious to give up on things that do." Victoria kissed him then, right there on the sidewalk in front of the bus stop, and Noah and the whole world. It was gentle and fierce at the same time, full of promise and fear and hope all tangled together. When she pulled back, she said, "I'll call Tuesday." "I know you will." Ryan walked back to Noah, who was grinning so wide his face looked like it might split in half. "You kissed her," Noah said. "I did. Does that mean she's your girlfriend now?" "I don't know what it means, but it means something." "Good, because I think she should be part of our family. The picture I drew was better with 3 people than with 2. Ryan picked up Noah and swung him onto his shoulders as the bus pulled up. "You're a smart kid, you know that?" "That's what Victoria says." The next 3 months passed differently than the first three. Victoria kept calling on Tuesdays, but now she also visited on Sundays when she wasn't traveling. Sometimes they'd meet at the park. Sometimes she'd brave the media attention and come to Ryan's apartment. Photographers be damned. Sometimes Ryan and Noah would take the train downtown and she'd meet them for lunch at places that didn't care who she was. And slowly, gradually, the three of them became something that looked like a family. Victoria started learning how to be part of Noah's life in real ways. Showed up at his school for parent-teacher conferences sitting next to Ryan while Ms. Rodriguez talked about Noah's progress. Came to his soccer game even though he spent most of it picking dandelions in the outfield. Helped with homework on nights when she was in town, proving that a billionaire CEO could still remember third-grade multiplication tables. Ryan started learning how to let someone help. Started accepting when Victoria paid for dinner because she wanted to and had the money and it wasn't charity. Started letting her buy Noah new shoes when the old ones gave out instead of duct taping them together one more time. Started believing that maybe accepting help wasn't the same as failing. And Noah just loved them both. Uncomplicated and wholehearted in the way only children can be. He called Victoria his bonus mom to anyone who asked. Drew pictures of 3 stick figures doing things together. Told his friends at school that his dad was a hero and his bonus mom ran a company that helped families. The media eventually figured out what was happening. Articles appeared with headlines like Ice Queen finds family with hospital janitor and billionaire, CEO dating. Single father. She met during accident. Some were kind. Most were invasive. A few were cruel, questioning whether Victoria was slumming or Ryan was a gold digger. But Ryan had stopped caring what strangers thought 3 years ago when his wife died and people whispered about whether he could handle raising Noah alone. And Victoria had stopped caring when she'd realized the opinions that mattered came from people who actually knew her. Christopher's trial came and went, guilty on all counts. 15 years minimum. His father got 8 years. 4 board members got various sentences. Victoria testified calmly and completely, laying out the evidence without emotion or drama. And when it was over, she walked out of the courthouse holding Ryan's hand while cameras flashed and reporters shouted questions. She didn't answer any of them. Just got in Ryan's beat-up truck and let him drive her home to the apartment where Noah was waiting with Mrs. Chen, who had become their unofficial babysitter and grandparent figure. By the time Noah's 9th birthday rolled around, things had settled into something almost normal. Victoria's company was stable. Ryan had been promoted to senior maintenance technician with a raise that meant they could afford real groceries, and Noah's shoes didn't have to come from the clearance section. And Noah was just a kid who happened to have 2 adults who loved him more than anything. The birthday party was small. Just Noah's 3 closest friends from school, Mrs. Chen, Marcus and his wife, and Victoria. They had it at the apartment because renting a venue wasn't in the budget, and nobody cared. Victoria had brought a dinosaur cake from a bakery that probably cost more than Ryan's weekly paycheck, but looked exactly like what Noah had dreamed about. Noah opened presents surrounded by people who mattered. Got toys and books and a new soccer ball that would definitely end up in the outfield weeds. When he opened Victoria's gift, a telescope for looking at planets because he'd been talking about space for months, his eyes went wide. "This is the best present ever," Noah said. "Wait until you see Jupiter through it," Victoria said. "It's incredible." "Can we look tonight?" "If it's clear, absolutely." After the party wound down and the friends went home and Mrs. Chen said goodnight, Ryan found himself on the apartment building's roof with Victoria and Noah, setting up the telescope while the city lights made most of the stars invisible. But Jupiter was bright enough. Noah pressed his eye to the lens and gasped. "I can see the stripes! Daddy! Victoria! I can see the stripes!" Ryan and Victoria took turns looking. It was beautiful. A tiny dot of light transformed into a whole world with details and complexity and wonder. After Noah had looked his fill and started getting tired, they packed up the telescope and headed back downstairs. Noah fell asleep on the couch before they could even get him into pajamas. Ryan carried him to bed while Victoria cleaned up the remaining party mess. When Ryan came back out, Victoria was standing at the sink washing dishes. Such a normal domestic thing, but on her it looked strange and perfect at the same time. "You don't have to do that," Ryan said. "I know, but I want to." She dried her hands and turned to face him. "Ryan, I need to tell you something. His stomach tightened. That tone never preceded good news. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong, but I've been thinking about what comes next, for us, for this. She gestured around the apartment. I spend half my time traveling for work. The other half I'm at my penthouse downtown or in meetings, and every time I leave here, every time I say goodbye to Noah, it gets harder, because this feels more like home than anywhere I've ever lived. Ryan didn't know where this was going. Okay. So I've been looking at houses, real houses, in neighborhoods where Noah could go to better schools and you wouldn't have to worry about gunshots at night. Places with yards and good heating and windows that don't leak when it rains. Victoria, let me finish. I know what you're going to say, that you can't afford it, that you don't want charity, that this is moving too fast, and I hear all of that. But Ryan, I'm not asking you to let me buy you a house. I'm asking if maybe we could buy a house. Together. Something that's ours. Where Noah can have his own room and a place to put that telescope. Where I can have a real space when I'm not traveling instead of just crashing on your couch. Where we can be a family without thin walls and nosy neighbors and worrying about whether CPS is going to show up because someone reported the living conditions. Well, Ryan sat down on the couch. That's a big step. I know. We've only been doing this for 7 months. I know that too, but Ryan, I'm 40 years old. I don't have time to waste on things that don't matter. And this matters. You matter. Noah matters. Building something real matters. Victoria sat down next to him. I'm not asking you to marry me. Not yet anyway. I'm just asking if you're willing to take the next step. To trust that we're building something worth investing in. Ryan thought about the life he'd been living. The apartment with the broken heater and the thin walls. The constant juggling of bills and work and Noah's needs. The exhaustion that never quite went away. He'd been surviving for 3 years, just surviving. But with Victoria, he'd started living again. Started believing there might be something beyond just making it to tomorrow. What kind of house? Ryan asked. Victoria pulled out her phone and showed him listings. Houses in neighborhoods he'd driven through but never thought he could afford. 3 bedrooms, yards, good schools, normal things that felt impossible for someone like him. This one, Victoria said, zooming in on a blue house with white trim and a front porch. It's in a neighborhood with a really good elementary school, 20-minute commute to the hospital for you, walking distance to a park. And there's this garage out back that could be converted into a workshop. I know you've always wanted to work on cars. This could be that space. Ryan stared at the photo. How do you know I've always wanted to work on cars? Noah told me. Said you used to talk about it before his mom died. About maybe opening a restoration shop someday. Then life happened and it became just a dream. Dreams are expensive. Not if you have help. Victoria closed the phone. Ryan, I'm not trying to take over your life or make you into some kind of kept man. I'm trying to build a life with you. One where we both contribute what we can. You contribute your time and your heart and your ability to make a broken radiator work with duct tape and prayer. I contribute my money and my connections and my ability to make things happen when they need to happen. Together we build something neither of us could build alone. Ryan looked at her, really looked at her. She wasn't the ice queen anymore. She was just Victoria, a woman who'd been lonely for so long she'd forgotten what family felt like until she crashed into his life, literally. Noah would love a yard, Ryan said quietly. He would. And a better school district would give him opportunities I can't. It would. And having you there permanently, not just visiting, would mean the world to him. What about you? Victoria asked. What would it mean to you? Ryan took her hand. It would mean I finally stopped just surviving. It would mean I finally believed I deserved something good. And it would mean taking a chance on something that scares me, because the alternative, letting you walk away, scares me more. Victoria smiled and there were tears in her eyes again. Is that a yes? That's a yes. She kissed him then, soft and slow, full of promise. And for the first time in 3 years, Ryan felt like the future might hold something besides just making it through. They moved into the blue house 3 months later. It took that long to close on the property and pack up Ryan's apartment and coordinate Victoria's schedule. Noah was beside himself with excitement. Drew pictures of their new house with labels for every room, planned where his telescope would go and where they could plant dinosaur-shaped bushes in the yard. The actual moving day was chaos. Mrs. Chen came to help and cried when she saw the house, telling Ryan he'd done good, that his wife would be proud. Marcus showed up with his truck and 3 guys from the hospital who helped move furniture and didn't ask questions about why a janitor was moving into a house with a billionaire. And Victoria directed everything with the same precision she used in boardrooms, making sure boxes went to the right rooms and furniture fit properly, and Noah's room was set up first so he'd feel settled. By evening, they were exhausted and surrounded by boxes, but the house was theirs. Noah fell asleep in his new bed, clutching a stuffed ankylosaurus Victoria had bought him. Ryan and Victoria sat on the back porch, looking at the yard that would need mowing and the garage that would need cleaning and the life they were building. "This is insane," Ryan said. "6 months ago, I was sleeping in a hospital break room. Now I'm sitting on a porch of a house I co-own with a billionaire. 7 months ago, I thought family was weakness and love was a liability," Victoria said. "Now I'm sitting on a porch with a man and his son who taught me everything I thought I knew was wrong. We're both terrible at this. Probably, but we're terrible at it together. That has to count for something." Ryan pulled her closer. "It counts for everything." The first year in the house was an education. Ryan learned that Victoria was a terrible cook, but excellent at ordering takeout. Victoria learned that Ryan could fix literally anything with enough time and the right tools. They learned how to parent together, figuring out discipline and homework and bedtime routines as a team instead of individually. They learned how to fight and make up and compromise and give each other space when needed. Noah thrived. His new school challenged him in ways his old one couldn't. He made friends whose parents didn't have to choose between rent and food. He joined the robotics club and the soccer team and started talking about being an engineer when he grew up. And Ryan slowly stopped feeling like an imposter in his own life. Started believing he deserved this. Started using the garage workshop Victoria had set up for him, buying old cars at auction and restoring them in his spare time. Started thinking maybe that dream of owning a restoration shop wasn't so impossible after all. Victoria kept running her company, but differently now. She worked from home 2 days a week, made sure she was there for Noah's soccer games and school events, brought Ryan to company functions not as arm candy but as her partner, someone whose opinion on employee benefits and working conditions she actually valued. And the 3 of them became what Noah had drawn in his crayon picture 2 years ago. A family. Messy and imperfect and real. It was 2 years and 3 months after the accident when Ryan finally proposed. He didn't do it at a fancy restaurant or during some elaborate gesture. He did it in their kitchen on a Tuesday night after Victoria had helped Noah with his math homework, and the 3 of them had eaten spaghetti, the good kind now, with homemade sauce and garlic bread. Noah was in bed. Victoria was washing dishes. And Ryan realized that this moment right here was the most important moment of his life. "Marry me," he said. Victoria turned around, hands still wet. "What?" "Marry me. Not because it makes sense or because we should, but because I love you, because Noah loves you, because you're already part of this family, and I want to make it official." "Ryan, I know I'm not rich. I know I'm just a maintenance technician who works on cars in his spare time. I know you could do better, but I promise you this. I will show up every single day. I will love you on the good days and the hard days. I will be the partner you deserve and the father Noah needs. And I will never, ever take for granted that you chose us." Victoria set down the dish towel and crossed the kitchen. "You think you're just a maintenance technician?" "Ryan, you saved my life. You protected me when I had nothing. You showed me what family actually means. You taught me that money doesn't buy the things that matter." She put her hands on either side of his face. "You're not just anything, you're everything." "Is that a yes?" "That's a yes." They got married 6 months later in their backyard with 50 people who actually mattered. No media, no corporate executives who didn't know them. Just family and friends, and Noah standing between them as the ring bearer, beaming like he'd planned this all along. Mrs. Chen cried through the whole ceremony. Marcus gave a toast about how Ryan was the stubbornest person he'd ever met, and that's why this marriage would last forever. And Noah gave a speech he'd written himself about how he used to wish for a mom, and now he had Victoria, who was even better than wishing because she was real. It should have been perfect, and it almost was. But life doesn't do perfect. It does real. 3 years into the marriage, Victoria's company faced another scandal, this time from a competitor trying to discredit her by bringing up the previous fraud. It took 6 months of legal battles and PR nightmares to clear her name again. Ryan stood beside her through all of it, reminding her that they'd survived worse. 4 years in, Ryan's garage workshop business took off enough that he quit the hospital and went full-time into restoration work. It was terrifying and exhilarating, and some months they barely broke even. But Victoria never once suggested he give it up and go back to the stable paycheck. She believed in what he was building. 5 years in, Noah got into the engineering program at his high school and told them he wanted to design cars someday, electric ones that were better for the environment. Victoria started researching which universities had the best programs, already planning scholarships and opportunities. Ryan just felt proud. And through it all, the scandals and the struggles and the daily work of being a family, they stayed. Because that was the promise they'd made, to show up, to be there, to choose each other even when it was hard. Now, Ryan stands in the parking garage where it all started. 8 years have passed since that snowy night when he pulled an unconscious woman from a wrecked Mercedes. The garage has been renovated since then. New lighting, better security, but Ryan can still see the marks on the concrete where the car burned. He's here for a ceremony. Victoria's company is donating $10 million to build a new wing at Chicago Grace Hospital dedicated to emergency services. They're naming it the Ryan Mercer Emergency Wing, despite his protests that he's just a janitor, former janitor, who did what anyone would have done. But Victoria insisted. Said the wing represented what happens when ordinary people do extraordinary things, when someone chooses to help instead of looking away, when kindness becomes the foundation for everything that follows. Noah is beside him, 16 now, tall and lanky, and so much like his mother it sometimes makes Ryan's chest hurt. Victoria is on his other side, silver starting to show in her dark hair, laugh lines around her eyes from 8 years of actually smiling. The hospital CEO is giving a speech about heroism and second chances. Marcus is in the crowd with his family, grinning like this is the best day of his life. Mrs. Chen is there too, older but still watching over Noah like he's her own grandson. When it's Ryan's turn to speak, he keeps it short. 8 years ago I made a choice. I pulled someone out of a burning car because it was the right thing to do. I didn't know who she was, didn't know it would change my entire life. I just knew someone needed help, and I was there to give it. He looks at Victoria, at Noah, at the family they built from nothing. I learned something that night that I want everyone here to remember. We spend so much time worried about what we don't have that we forget to use what we do have. I didn't have money, didn't have connections, didn't have anything except the choice to help or walk away. And that choice, that one moment of choosing to care, built everything that came after. So whatever you're facing today, whatever feels impossible, remember that small choices matter. Showing up matters. Caring about people matters. Everything else is just noise. The applause is polite but genuine. Ryan steps back and Victoria takes his hand. After the ceremony, they drive home together. The Blue House has been expanded now. Noah has his own space. Victoria has an office. Ryan has a proper workshop. The yard has those dinosaur-shaped bushes Noah wanted when he was 9, now overgrown and ridiculous looking, but none of them have the heart to remove them. That night, after Noah disappears into his room to video chat with friends, Ryan and Victoria sit on the back porch like they did that first night in the house. You know what I was thinking about today? Victoria says. That night in the parking garage. How scared I was. How certain I was going to die. And then you appeared. I was just doing my job. Your job was maintenance, not rescue. You chose to help. Yeah, I did. Why? Victoria asks. You've never really told me. Why did you risk yourself for a stranger? Ryan thinks about it, about Noah's question years ago. If you could help somebody but it was really hard, would you still do it? Because someone needed to, Ryan says finally. And I was there. That's all heroism ever is. Being in the right place and choosing not to look away. And now? Now I'm still here, still choosing not to look away, every single day. Victoria leans her head on his shoulder. I'm glad you didn't. Me too. They sit in comfortable silence, watching the yard where they've built their life. It's not perfect. never been perfect. There are weeds that need pulling and paint that needs touching up, and a fence section that's been leaning for 2 months that Ryan keeps meaning to fix. But it's theirs, every imperfect piece of it, and that's what Ryan has learned in 8 years of building this family. Perfection is a lie. It's a magazine cover that doesn't exist in real life. Real life is messy. It's waking up at 3 a.m. when your kid has a nightmare. It's fighting about whose turn it is to do dishes. It's watching your partner struggle with work stress and not being able to fix it, only stand beside them while they figure it out. Real life is choosing someone every day, not just on the good days. On the days when they're difficult and you're tired and it would be easier to walk away. Those are the days that matter. Those are the days that build something lasting. Ryan didn't save Victoria that night in the parking garage. Not really. They saved each other. And they've been saving each other every day since. That's what family is. That's what love is. Not the grand gestures or the perfect moments. It's the showing up, the staying, the choosing each other when everything else falls apart. Ryan Mercer used to be a man who was just surviving, just making it through, just trying not to lose everything that mattered. Now he's a man who's living, who's building, who's found out that having nothing to lose and something to fight for are two sides of the same coin. And that's the thing about stories like this. They don't end with happily ever after. They end with, and then they kept going. Because that's what real people do. They keep going. They keep showing up. They keep choosing each other. And somehow, impossibly, that's enough.